I want my number ones back, all of them.
Pizza time.
You know what I see? Losers.
You're garbage. Who kills for money?
Truth is, I am Iron Man.
Shut the fuck up! Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
You heard it up top. We are about to enter the Coliseum for an all-out epic battle. 3 men enter, 1 man wins. Because it's the superhero movie draft here on Normies Like Us with your hosts, Draft Day Colin.
Commissioner Mike.
And this is Jacob Man.
Oh, great superhero.
Yeah, Jacob Man is my superhero name. They should call you Mr. Producer over here.
Oh yes, I'm wearing my
Commissioner
producer hat. For those watching, I'm Feige coded right now. I got my hat on.
Oh, you are Feige coded.
Yeah,
You are. Wow.
Kind of Kevin Smith coded with that hockey jersey too.
It is a hockey. Yeah, so Kevin Smith, Kevin Feige. We're putting them together. It's the greatest.
The original comic book bad boys. Mike, you're rocking it right now.
We're out here. What about those, contract workers on the Death Star? Pretty crazy, huh? You ever think about that? I'm excited for the draft. I've been, my team's been hard at work the past week, 2 weeks. We took a week off, as you know. I'm pretty excited for this. Yeah, we had to prep. So, we've done this with the Oscars. We did an Academy Awards winning film draft earlier in the year to go back and listen. And now we're doing another genre. So I'm kind of stoked for this one.
That was our more sophisticated draft, you might say. This is more a draft of the people, superhero movies, the common people.
Right.
And we've got football season coming up very soon, fantasy football season. I'm excited for that draft. So I was thinking, I'm in the drafting mood,
Now, Jacob, what do you think about Scorsese saying he's not going to listen to this episode of this podcast?
Look, that's all right. I agree with him on certain things. So I would never disagree with the master, Scorsese.
I'm excited for this. Now, both times these segments have been your idea, and it's super fun to do a segment all episode long outside of our watches where we sort of do that as well, because it means we don't really have to prep or watch a million things or read a million things. So I'm very thankful for these episodes, Jacob.
Absolutely. No prep involved except for, making your draft list. But and I think it's just fun. It's a way to discuss different movies and things. So I think it's a lot of fun to do.
Yeah, it's a cool way to kind of gauge each other's tastes and stuff too. Some of these, who knows if we're going to go by, what's a critical darling or what do you just personally like? So I'm looking forward to see who you draft. I'm hoping you don't skip any of my picks,
Yes. Question.
I think we're definitely,
Well, just without spoiling it, don't name them or whatever. But would you guys say one of your favorite movies is a superhero movie? Is this our genre? Obviously, we've talked a million comic books and superheroes on this podcast.
I'll say this. I have my favorite superhero movies. If I were to list my 10 favorite movies, I don't know that any of them would be a superhero movie. Just because there's a lot of good movies out there,
Yeah, it's hard to say. I have superhero movies that I'm hoping don't get scooped that I really like, but it's hard to say if any of them are in my top 10. Definitely not my top 5. There's at least 3 grudge movies.
Too many good movies that aren't superhero movies. I mean, is Mad Max Fury Road a superhero movie?
I would say technically not. It's like an apocalyptic action
the closest
adventure.
thing to it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You could make an argument, and maybe that's a good thing to get into too. Before you answer, Colin, do you have a fave? As a superhero movie, is this your genre? Because I've been fatigued, historically.
Yeah. Yes. Obviously, I feel you there, Mike. I think maybe I'm a little more comic book heavy on this podcast. I can honestly say in my top 4 on Letterboxd and in my top 10 of all time is a comic book movie that I'm going to try to get on this draft. I'm very excited to try and scoop. So yeah, absolutely.
I don't know what that could be.
It has been fun going back and thinking about this stuff in preparation of who are you aiming for in your draft? Me going through that as someone who has, except for Deadpool and Wolverine, I enjoyed that. And it made $1 billion. Congratulations. Superheroes aren't dead yet, maybe.
Great.
So maybe we can coast on that a little bit too. But what are the rules here? Let's lay the groundwork, right? How many rounds, et cetera.
Well, this is what I was wondering because in our chat pre this episode, I was saying should it be should it be superhero movies or should it be any movie based on a comic book, because that would include comic books that you wouldn't necessarily think as superhero movies, but that's
right.
A little more
violence. technically.
Yeah.
A comic
Yeah.
book,
It's
right?
technically,
Sin
Mike, that's
City.
a great pull. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
City.
Old boy.
I it comes down to the hero inside that stuff. If you guys can argue it, I mean, I lean towards comic book adaptations, but I mean, you guys just gave two great examples that really don't feel superhero-y. So I
Yeah.
don't know.
I feel like I was drawing a line because I was like looking at some stuff and I was like, does this really count? Like Old Boy, for example, or History of Violence. Like I would say not superhero movies, although comic book story. And on the other side of that too, I was like, well, what about Ghost in the Shell? Because that was a manga, right? And then a movie. But I'm like,
Including
maybe we should
manga,
limit the anime manga to a different category. But we are
Yeah.
including, let's say, Spider-Verse and things that are animated. But I figured let's leave the
animated
other side out.
or live action is fine. I would say for me, I was looking strictly at superhero movies. So they had to have a character in it that I would consider a superhero. And not to give too much away about my methodology, but I have my top 5. I don't expect to get all 5 of them because we might be going after the same ones.
Mm-hmm.
But I was looking at certain heroes. I was like, I got to have this hero, a movie from this hero. I got to have a movie from this hero. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it. So if I don't get my
your own Avengers roster, I love that, Jacob.
Kind of, yeah.
It is like structuring a sports team. Like I got to have a Batman, I got to have a Spider-Man, I got to have a Superman. That kind of mindset, right?
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Like, if I don't get my top Batman, there's other good Batman movies that I can fill it in with.
You might
and
not
I'm probably
get the
not
best
going to
QB,
take.
but you can get the second best QB. Yeah.
And I also I'm trying to diversify a little bit, so I'm not probably going to take 2 Spider-Mans or 2 Batmans. I'm probably going to stick to one hero per movie or one movie per hero.
Too, buddy. I'm with you
I
there.
think we might
to give
all
away
kind
too
of be
much.
in that mindset. Like, yeah, you didn't want to double dip maybe necessarily, depending on what falls though. But I think we're all on that same wavelength. Which will help predict scoops, I guess. So, oh, thank God he's done. But we'll just have to wait and see.
But I do think, there's certain movies that are going to be at the top of everyone's list that are like considered some of the best or our favorite superhero movies. So it'd be interesting to see.
Structure-wise, did we say 5 rounds and then sort of a goofball pick, or is it 4 and then that 5th one's sort of the most valuable loser?
I'm thinking,
I believe you called it.
Yeah, the LVP, the least valuable player. I'm thinking top 5. You're starting 5. You're thinking a basketball team. You're top 5, and then LVP can either be just a bad. I was thinking like a movie that's traditionally considered bad, but that you actually like, maybe like a guilty pleasure or something like that.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. I like that.
You can go that route, or you can just pick a bad movie or something.
Wild card. Okay.
No one can pick Madam Web. Stop it. Yeah.
Madam Web, maybe. Morbius. Lots of good choices from the Sony
runner of the LVPs.
I see the Pepsi in my dreams, Michael Morbius.
I had a Pepsi just today, in preparation. And well, I guess now that's so 5 rounds, right? Boom. It's not going to be snake. We just go around because there's only 3 of us. But then we need to determine the draft order before we get into it. So I had pitched a D20 highest to lowest, right? Is that cool?
I think that's a good idea.
I like it. If you're watching the video, you're not only seeing Mike's awesome producer hat and Jacob's Black Panther shirt, which you should definitely point out, but Mike is going to physically be rolling an awesome dice while the rest of us probably do digital. I'll be doing digital.
And we'll be on the honor system, and I trust
Well, I think Mike should just roll for all 3 of us.
Oh, that's an even better idea.
Just one at a time, because I don't have anything to roll with. Yeah.
I could get, I'll just roll 3 times then. Or I could get 3 dice. Is that better? Does that take too much time? I'll just roll it 3 times.
We all pick a color of a dice.
Alphabetical order, AJM, or a CJM. All right, so Colin first.
I think that works.
All right, the dice is in. It's an 11. It's an 11.
Not bad. Pretty high number.
I don't know how to prove it. I should change the camera. So we have an 11, I promise. That's you're in the upper half. Jacob, a 12. Wow. Just barely edging
20
him out.
that Mike's about to roll. I'm so
he's going to nat 20 it right now.
I'm a historically bad roller in D&D, so let's see. A 12. So now it's
So that's a tie.
A roll
You
off?
got to do a tiebreaker roll.
I guess so. Jacob, again.
Come on, baby.
3.
High number, high number.
3.
Let's see if I get that one.
But does that mean I'm still higher than Colin, though, because my first number
I would
was
say
higher
yes, and then I got a 10. So
okay, so we'll do Mike, me, Colin.
Okay. Wow. All right. Well, I got lucky.
I feel good about that.
I'm fine with that.
All
now,
right.
Up top, I should mention I've got my pops, of course, here.
Yes.
A couple superhero pops. We got Batman Beyond, of course. We've got Ultron.
A good,
And,
an okay movie, a forgotten movie.
well, Batman Beyond has Return of the Joker, so
Oh, I
that's
guess
a
that's true.
Mm.
he's
Yeah,
got one movie. Ultron, of course, and Judge Dredd.
great movie.
Our boy Carl Urban, of course. We love Dredd.
Is
Mhm.
Dredd
And
a
I am
superhero?
wearing. I say yes. I say that Dredd I would consider because I could see Marvel or someone making a Dredd movie.
Yeah,
Whoever owns the rights to
I'd
Dredd.
say that counts, and that it's also a comic adaptation. It's a little bit more
Yeah.
fantastical than, say, an Old Boy or something. So yeah. All right. Well,
And
we
I've
have
got
the
my
order.
Black Panther shirt
Mhm.
on, of course, which I was saying I got in a loot box one time because I wanted the sci-fi loot box that had these Quarks bar coasters and bar glasses. So I got that, and then I got an extra loot box that month that was like superhero based. So I got this Black Panther shirt, which I will wear with pride.
Hell yeah, we miss you, Chadwick.
Yep.
R.I.P.
Seriously. Rest in power. Queen.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, we have our draft order, and I have a draft.
Maybe
beer
Black
for
Panther
this
will be
episode.
one that's picked today. We'll see. Very
Yeah,
nice.
We'll find out. Thank you.
I've
And
got
so,
my Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar.
now
of
the
another
number
course.
2
draft
soda in the country. Congratulations, Dr.
Wow.
Pepper. All right.
It's great.
Number 2 in the country, number 1 in my heart. The number 1 pick in soda for me as well. But let's see what the number 1 pick
Mr.
is for us
Feige.
in movies. Yes.
Goes first
Absolutely.
after this.
We're back here on Normies Like Us. Like we said, we are about to kick things off with the first superhero draft. And if you just listen, Mike's got our first pick.
Mr. Producer.
That's right. I'm on the clock.
There's a lot of pressure with this pick too, because
Hey, you're Kevin Costner draft day style. You're calling Jacob to make deals right
charge
now,
you
right?
two
I
seconds.
want my first round picks, all of them. Yeah. So it's the 3 Kevins: Kevin Feige, Kevin Costner, and Kevin Smith, all in this
That's
moment.
right.
The weight on my shoulders.
And you remember who was the
I
guy
hate
that
it.
they were trying to draft in that movie? Chadwick Boseman.
That is
Wow.
100% right, oddly enough.
What an
I've
amazing
seen that movie like
combination.
15 times
We
because
watch
it's
it
about
every
the Cleveland
draft day.
Browns.
It's a Cleveland-based film, yeah.
One of the few.
We
one of the
love it.
greats. Yep. Well, there
That's
is a
right.
lot of pressure. Luckily, I'm really glad I got. Obviously, I think anybody would be glad to get the first pick because there's going to be a lot of competition. But I do think there might be a lot
Yeah.
of like differing of opinions of what the number 1 overall should be. But I know that in my
That's
heart,
true.
the pick is in, and so
Wait.
with the yeah.
Can I guess what I think you're gonna say?
There's no way
You
you'll
want to
get
guess it? You can.
You wanna
Yeah.
guess
Just to
his
see if I
first
can nail it.
draft
Just
pick?
if I can. I think you're
Okay.
gonna pick Spider-Man 2.
Wow, Jacob.
Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2.
I'm not gonna lie. The first overall
Vindicated.
pick for the Mike Angelis Vindicators is Spider-Man 2. Sam Raimi.
Did I
You
nail
called
it?
it. You were
I'm blown
vindicated.
away. How did you know that? I would not have guessed
You
Vindicated.
nailed it. Yep.
What else
So,
could it be? What else could it be?
honestly, when you think of highly rated, amongst fans and everything, it's one of the top ones, and it's the one that I enjoy the most, I guess, as far as rewatching. And Vindicated, I had to get the dashboard in here, so
Yes,
we're out
absolutely.
here. Spider-Man
You're
2.
a Sam Raimi fan.
I will say
Absolutely.
that was in my top 5. If I could
Colin,
just
was
pick
that in
5
your
straight,
top 5?
that would have been my Spider-Man.
You know
pick.
what? I knew that was going early, so I completely left it off my list.
Wow, you just knew. Okay. My list is like 25 deep. Like I have a lot of alts and
Well, that's
pivots.
Wow.
impressive.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Now, Mike, did this come naturally as the first? You sat down, you put this together, and you said, well, I know exactly what it's going to be.
As soon as I was going over like the top 100 list, just for like how many superhero movies have we had? Yeah, it was like very easy to like. This is like the cornerstone of the franchise. Like if I didn't get this, I would be pretty bummed. But I have alternates for kind of anything else that might get swooped. But I really
Sure.
wanted to have this one. Was this any of your number 1s? Did I scoop? Colin left it off, and Jacob said it was in the top 5. So
I just had a top 5 where I'm like, if I could just pick 5 straight, these are the ones I pick, but I'm not expecting to get them all. And like I
Got it.
said, I have one Spider-Man, so since I didn't get that one, I'll probably pivot to a different Spider-Man.
gotcha.
will
And
you?
I could probably guess
Or
that, but I'll
will you?
wait.
Now, have we done an episode on this movie? I don't think so.
We've done
Yes,
a
we
general
have.
episode.
We've done the Spider-Man general episode.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
On a specific, hey, number 2, let's talk Alfred Molina, let's talk Baby Goblin, or, popping up or whatever. Okay.
No, I think we did summer 2 years ago. We did Spider-Man and Terminator and like a couple big franchises when we were just looking for some summer
We did a lot of
franchises.
blockbusters.
Maybe
Yeah,
Maybe COVID time, I think, when
Mhm.
new stuff wasn't coming out.
I think so.
COVID.
Yeah, Jaws.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
We did that whole era. But I'm going to
That's
keep
right.
track of these. Spider-Man 2
Great
is my
first
number
pick,
one
Mike.
pick. Thank you.
I
That is
think
a
a
great
lot
pick.
of fans listening, like Jacob, just said out loud to themselves, "Well, I know that's the one I'd pick." So maybe some guesses there too.
It's definitely one of the ones that is consistently brought up as like the one. Is it the best one that's ever the best to ever do it? Like it's brought up in
Yeah.
the GOAT conversation. I think it deserves to be somebody's number one, and I'm glad that it's mine. So
Well, I'm ready to go with my
yeah, you're
my
on the
first
clock.
pick. Pick number 2. And now conventional wisdom says there is a movie here that I could take, considered one of the greatest superhero movies of all time. But I think I can get it in a later round because I don't think Colin is going to take what I'm thinking of, and I don't think.
Interesting.
Wow.
So I'm going to go instead with another movie that's also considered one of the greatest superhero movies of all time, and a movie that I watched recently. Hint, hint. I'm
Mhm.
talking Logan.
Oh,
wow.
I'm going
Okay.
Logan with my first pick. Lock it up.
I like
really
it.
wanted that one because if I didn't get Logan, I probably wouldn't get a Wolverine pick in there. So Logan, I can say definitely is one of my top 5 favorite superhero movies of all time.
No, I love that. Logan is in my top 5. I'm saddened to lose it, but if I have to trade a Logan for a Spider-Man 2, it's worth it to me. But I figured that
Yeah,
would go
that's a
quick.
good trade.
Yeah, we
Mhm.
watched
We
it
maybe
recently.
just eliminated what people consider the 2 best superhero films ever made: Logan and Spider-Man.
I think
2.
there's one other one that maybe some of us I don't want to give away too
I
much,
think
but
there's
there's
probably
one other
two
one
that
that's
could
very
compete.
highly
Snyder's
rated.
Justice League.
Of course, the
Yeah.
Snyder cut.
No, the Whedon
Uh,
cut.
But we'll see what Colin picks, and we'll see what we pick next round. But
Really
and I'll
strong pick
reveal it.
though, Jacob, for sure.
Thank you. Yeah, Logan. I just
Huge.
watched it recently. Made me cry, and I was just like, "Damn, how many superhero movies can make me cry?" I mean, maybe a lot because I
Yeah,
cried a lot of movies.
I cried during Angels in
But
the Outfield, so it's all good.
yeah, when those angels appear in that
Well, when
outfield.
I thought he was going to get adopted, but not his best friend, and then he's like, "No, you're both coming." I was like, "Dang,
That's
hell
why you're
yeah,
gonna choose Dark Knight
friendship,
Rises, Mike, because you've got to be loyal to Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
100%,
Yeah.
100%." How did you know?
But
My
for me,
favorite
when
Robin.
I see Patrick Stewart in that movie, Charles Xavier breaks my heart, makes me think of my grandfather. R.I.P. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's a movie that's very close to my heart, and yeah, Logan is the pick.
Like
Yep.
you were saying, rewatched it because of Deadpool recently. Obviously, I did the same. Jacob, we
Mhm.
both said on our Letterboxd reviews, like, what is going on with the world that anybody would pass over Patrick Stewart for this? It's some of the best acting we've ever seen.
Yeah,
It's an amazing
absolutely.
pick, dog.
Yeah, and then we have Jackie.
Thank you.
You know, I guess she brought the. They
That's
were
right,
doing
Jackie Lawn.
right. So we have Jackie Lan, Daphne Keene from Deadpool as well. And
Oh yeah, it's good acting all around. Good kid acting, good
Yep.
acting from Hugh. A career performance from Hugh Jackman, I think. I mean, one of
100%.
his
Why
best.
does she get sent to the void, Jacob? Why do they send Jackie to the void? It
That's
doesn't
what we
make
don't
any
know.
sense.
I don't understand. Maybe she's an alternate X-23, like a different universe as
Ah.
X-23. I'm
Well,
not
'cause
really
Use
sure
the
though.
lightsaber.
Without getting too, yes, exactly, lightsaber claws. Without getting too into the weeds, I know that Deadpool and Wolverine is 2024 timeline, and then Logan is 2029. So technically, Logan's not even dead
Oh,
in that
she's like
universe.
early.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I don't get it.
It doesn't
but
make sense if you think about it for too long, but
No.
that
so just
movie
don't.
doesn't explain a lot of things. So
True.
Very strange.
But man, I had written down a pick that I thought you were going to take, but I guess we made it back around.
well, I think there's a pick that I'm trying to still get in a later round, but we'll see if I can get it.
Fair. Okay.
Alright.
So, Colin, you're on the
Moving on
clock.
with pick 3 here.
That's
Now
right.
look, Jacob is playing 4D chess, where he's like, you guys are going to get this move. I'm going to do this. Here's my personal strategy with the number 1 pick. I got to get the movie I want. Do I
Sure.
think you guys are going for this? No, you're not. Maybe Mike's got this on his list, but I got to get the movie that I need and want. And for me, right now, I'm saying number 1 pick,
Yeah.
1990, the best film, the number 1 costume film I've ever seen in my life. I'm talking Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, boys.
Bro,
Wow.
I am upset. My camera even turned off because of that. Um, that is on my list. I didn't think anybody would be turtle coated, so I'm very impressed. And
I
at
know
the
you're a
time,
turtle boy. I feel like I'm scooping you a bit here, but I've often said that like when you think of like it's a comic book put to the screen, when I was a kid, I thought those turtles were real. You cannot get a more accurate costume than those 4 robots Jim Henson made in a laboratory like Dr. fucking Frankenstein.
oh, 100%. And like
So
you
this
know,
is
oh,
interesting to me because TMNT, I know it was a comic first. I don't personally think of it as a comic because I think of it more as the animated show, which of
Mhm,
course was, but of course it was a comic first, so it totally
mhm.
fits. But
mhm.
I don't
Do
really
you
think
think
of them
of
as
them as superheroes?
superheroes.
You don't.
I
They
think of them
use
as
weapons.
ninjas more.
They
Yeah,
they use individual badass powers to defeat supervillains all the time.
but they're
What are you
ninjas.
talking
They're
about?
teenage ninjas,
Well, they literally
mutant ninja
get
turtles.
they have the same chemical that creates Daredevil, and he's just a ninja, you know. And I
Mike,
No, I
think,
guess they are
Mike, here
superheroes.
we
You're right,
go.
but I
yeah,
just don't think of them that way for some reason.
look, if a turtle can one become bipedal and two learn to speak, that's already
Yes,
very powered. That's very super
yes,
powered
Of
alone, let
course,
alone be
yeah.
a ninja on top of that. Yeah.
yes. And let's talk about something real quick. You guys, Jacob, what's your pick? Oh, Wolverine. Mike, what's your pick? Superman. Or I'm sorry, Spider-Man.
Yeah, don't you dare.
Colin, what's your pick? Raphael, Michelangelo, Leonardo,
Sure.
Donatello, 4
4 times
bad
the fun.
boys for the
Mm-hmm.
price of one.
I
That's
love
pretty
that.
good.
That
That's
was
a
in
good pick.
my
I can't
top
say that
five.
that was in your top 5. Wow, that was
Mm-hmm.
not on my list, but I'm not as big of a turtle guy as you guys are, so I understand that.
That first
Um,
movie, the 1990 movie, Elliot Koteas as fucking
Yeah.
Casey Jones, fucking mean, hot April O'Neil drawing those sad turtles as they're dying in like a farmhouse in Kansas. I will never get over seeing that movie for the first time. I adore that film.
sure.
It's so good. Never pay full price for late pizza. The first time I ever swore was doing the scene when Raphael yells "damn" after Casey Jones runs away. I didn't know it was a
Damn.
swear. My parents got mad. I love that movie. Yeah.
Pizza
Um,
Dude's got 30 seconds, Mike.
yeah, absolutely. And he's delivering it. Michelangelo delivers the pizza to himself. That's the suit actor who plays the pizza man. There's
The
one of
best.
those for everybody in that movie, which is a fun little
Yes,
thing.
it's the
Um,
Wow.
best.
Well, I
it
did
was the
see that.
most successful independent film up to a certain point as well because
That's
nobody
right.
wanted to
Absolutely.
greenlight it.
I did see that Mike's camera was frozen before you started your pick. I almost tried to stop us, but I thought maybe that was on my
The
end. But
audio's rolling.
yeah, might look a
USB
little weird
ports.
on YouTube, but that's okay. These things happen, folks.
The Foot Clan came in and unplugged it, and they said, "No, no, no, not today."
That's right.
Yeah, dude.
Shredder.
Fucking super villains don't want us talking about superheroes. They're trying to sabotage Mike, the producer.
Propaganda.
And I will say, TMNT, I'm not a huge Turtles guy, but I do have the turtle skins in my favorite game, Fortnite, and I do play as them a lot. I play as Michelangelo mostly, and just go
Nice.
around being a turtle, and I do love
You are a
that.
party
So
dude. Now, can
yeah,
we all agree that 1990 first film, that is the best one? Or do you guys like that new animated one more?
Not more.
not
I think it's good
more.
in its own way, but
Yeah,
that first movie, it stands alone as like one being actually non-ironically good, and like the film grain, it has like a grittiness to it. Like there's the tactile quality, like it's so good.
yeah.
Yeah,
But that's a good pick. That's a good pick. I respect it.
very solid pick. So the first round, with the first pick, Spider-Man 2. With the second pick goes to Logan, and the third pick, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles live action 1990.
Interesting.
Hell yeah, boys. Those
Good
are all
first
great
round.
films.
Ooh,
I'm
man.
very excited to know what Mike's next pick is.
Yeah, now things are going to get interesting.
Things are getting interesting. There's a certain hero that I'm a big fan of that hasn't been picked yet. A
Right.
movie from this hero.
Oh, man.
So I'm wondering if Mike's going to take what I'm thinking, but I'm thinking he's going to go with another movie.
You think
Right.
Mike's going to pick the Halo Paramount TV series? That's crazy, Jacob. He wouldn't do that.
No. Okay. Here's the thing. I know what I should take.
Yeah.
I know what
I know
should
exactly what you're
be
thinking,
taking.
and I know what you're
Right.
going to pick.
How
I
are
can
You
you
know
probably
what I'm
predict.
going to pick?
Different on this, Jacob.
You don't know what I'm going to pick.
I'm
Yeah, what
thinking
is-
I'm
what is
4
this
steps ahead of
pick?
you right now.
Yeah.
Bro, write it down. Write it down. And
Okay.
tell me, and
Write
then
it
show
down.
me after I tell it.
Right when he says it.
I have one written down on this whiteboard that was going to be for Jacob's pick too. But
Look at these reveals.
I want to know. If
I'm writing this down because if I can predict
there's
your 2 first picks, that would be insane.
there's no
All
way
right.
you're going to get this because I'm going to go so off book right now.
You might be right. I might be
But I
totally
like it.
thinking something else. Yeah.
So, like I said, I know what I should be taking as far as
Yes.
critics and everything like that, but I'm not going to. Instead, I'm going to follow my heart with the number 4 pick, my second round pick. I just rewatched this. It holds up. Even though it's hard to ice skate uphill, I'm taking Blade. It is
Wow.
so fun. I don't care. I want it, and I have
I
it.
do like Blade. Yeah.
Yes. I
Okay,
have
that's
it.
not what I wrote down. So
Okay, so we could save it until it gets picked. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
skate uphill, Mike. It's so good.
That's my whole draft strategy right now is ice skating uphill. Like, once I got Spider-Man 2, we're going crazy, and I'll explain the methodology as we get through it. But Blade, yeah, I had to have it. I watched it last night, and I'm like, dang, it does hold up.
yeah, that's a good pick. That's a
Little
good
fist
pick.
pump. Yeah, it's wonderful.
Not the Ryan Reynolds one, not the recent Ryan Reynolds one. You're talking the original R-rated first Marvel movie ever, Blade.
Yeah, 1998. Stephen Dorff, Deacon Frost.
That's
Yeah, man.
right. It's so memorable.
We were doing it. A lot of
I
techno.
kind of-
Yeah.
The question is Blade versus Blade 2. Which
Right.
one is better? I think Blade is better, but Blade 2 is still pretty good.
Blade
Blade
2's Guillermo
2,
del Toro, right?
people,
Yeah.
that's exactly it, Mike, is that people are like, well, it's made by no tour. Tell me the plot of that movie, because the plot of that movie
You got the
sucks,
blood
dude.
pack. It's not as cool as you would think. The first one's definitely
No.
better. The only problem with the first one is the CG looks a little dated at
Yeah.
times. Because I rewatched Blade 1 and 2 semi recently. Not Trinity though, because that one is bad.
Well,
Oh,
speaking
man,
of Trinity,
yeah.
Mike, a film, Blade 1, that the
Mhm.
Wachowskis have said inspired The Matrix. I mean, that makes sense. A guy in black
Sure.
leather running around in clubs, like cutting people's heads off.
Oh, easily. Yeah. And like some of the CG doesn't hold up, but like all the performances do. Like Wesley Snipes is crushing it, and like some of the practical effects are really good. Like Pearl, like that's a great practical effect. Like there's some
Pearl.
good stuff in there. Yeah. So yeah, I love it. It's fun. Even the cheesy lines land. Yeah, I was like, wow, I had a really good time rewatching yesterday. So I was like,
Chris Christopherson.
Whistler, a
Yeah.
character made for the movie because they
Wow.
realized he can't just talk to himself.
wow, I didn't even realize that's his
Sure.
his
I mean, his little old man.
his Alfred. He has the vamp cave or whatever, just
Yeah.
that warehouse.
Or you know what? It might have been the Spider-Man animated series where he appears first. I cannot remember, but it's not the comic books. Whistler is not a comic book creation, oddly.
Gotcha. No, it's super cool. His haircut's cool. Blade's great. Watch it. It holds up, and
Well, hey, that's
especially
a
as being
great-
one of the first ones. And
Can I real quick drop one more piece of trivia? And I don't know why I have
Please.
all this Blade trivia on me, but do you guys know the 3 people who auditioned for Whistler?
the
No.
3 people.
So like Chris Christopherson,
Sam
Ron Perlman.
Elliott, a
Sam
very Chris
Elliott.
Christopherson.
Oh, Ron
Ron Perlman,
Perlman,
an
who's in the
incredible
sequel,
joke.
right?
That's an
Yeah.
incredible guess, Mike. They go off type. Danny DeVito.
Danny DeVito. If you want a really short Whistler.
Hey,
Just short
Blade, what are
little-
you doing?
Oh man.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Nah, no, I don't buy that.
Frank Reynolds himself.
I'm gonna get
Um,
weird, Blade.
He needs a serum.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's the serum.
I don't know who the guy is that plays Deacon Frost's right-hand man, literally, because he loses his left one a couple times. Like, that guy is so funny.
Oh God,
It's
it's
like, I don't even know what
the
hand
guy
I'm going to
from-
kill you with, Blade. Like, that guy is so fun in this
It's the
movie.
guy from Grounded for
Oh,
Life
sure.
with the really Irish name.
Yeah.
Why can I not fucking remember it? He's so funny.
He was such a standout in that, because Blade is so dry that like
Let me look
it
it
worked
up.
good. Anyway, yeah, if you can find that, but I love Blade. So my number 2,
Blade 1 directed by Stephen Norrington.
Very
Acclaimed.
British.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Donald Logue, that's who you're thinking of.
Donald
Colin.
Logue, of
Donald
course.
Logue,
Yeah,
of course.
The best.
Very
Mike.
Irish
He's
name.
so funny.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there it is.
Well, hey, that's a great pick. Not what I was expecting.
Right.
And now it
well,
falls to me.
well, I wanted
for
to
my
free
next
up this pick to you. I wanted you to get
Yeah.
something that you really like.
Well, this is where it gets interesting because like I said, there's a certain hero that hasn't been taken, and this is a hero that is one of the most popular and beloved in all of history. But there's been a lot of movies made about this guy, and you could argue several of them you can make the case are the best or
Mm-hmm.
are your favorite. There's different eras. So for me, yeah, like where do I go? Because I know I want a movie with this hero in it. But if I take the one that's conventionally seen as the best,
Mm-hmm.
it's the one that I don't think Colin is going to take.
Right.
Mike might take it in a later round, but I know you have another movie with this hero. So all I'm saying is
Yeah.
I'm just going to take it anyway. I'm talking The Dark Knight, okay?
Wow.
I'm talking Batman.
Yes.
Yeah. And I knew I knew Colin wasn't going to take it because I know Colin, spoiler alert, that's not even your favorite Christopher Nolan Batman movie.
No, he's not.
So
no.
so I knew you weren't going to take that. And again, there's multiple ways I could have gone. There's like 5 different Batman movies that on any given day I would consider my favorite, but I'm going to go conventional and just take The Dark Knight, get it off the board. Why not?
Yeah.
I
mean, Heath Ledger.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, of course.
I do think my prediction is that both of you guys will take a Batman movie at some point,
Mm-hmm.
but this would not have been either your first choice. And I know what Mike's might be as well. So stay tuned for that. I don't want to give too much away. I don't want to. I'm thinking 5 steps ahead.
You're
I like that
some meta.
you're applying our football draft strategy. Like,
I'm thinking,
what's
what are
gonna
these
fall?
guys going to take?
Exactly.
So my whole point is that I don't think either of you is going to take The Dark Knight, but
Mhm.
I'm going to take it anyways because I do like The Dark Knight. And for me,
Mhm.
is it the best Batman movie? Maybe not. It's the best. I think it's the best movie with Batman in it, but it's not the
Yes.
best Batman movie.
Interesting.
But I do love the Joker, obviously, in that he's the greatest Batman villain. It's the greatest Joker movie. No offense to Joaquin Phoenix.
Oh, I thought you were going to
but-
say 30 Seconds to Mars.
or that, yeah.
Jared Leto.
No. Heath Ledger clears all of them, even Jack
Mhm.
Nicholson. And he's a great foil to The Dark Knight. Now, I don't think Christian Bale is the best Batman. And I don't think this is the best Batman movie, like I said. But I'm going to take it anyway and just take it. So it is what it is.
He gets a Brokeback Mountains reference in there too. You complete me. It's like it's wonderful. Yeah. It's amazing. Yeah,
And that's what it really all comes down to, is the Batman versus Joker foil. That's the main relationship of Batman's life.
Right.
And they haven't figured it out since. You're not drafting Jared Leto.
Mm-mm.
No, the closest thing for me is certain animated movies, but yeah.
Yeah, but this is one that could have been, and one of the listeners maybe like this could be someone's first overall pick. Like people love this movie.
Yeah, it's a very normie pick for me. Like I could have gone off book and taken Mask of the Phantasm or something, but I'm just going to take the most normie pick imaginable and take The Dark Knight and say, you know what, it's a good movie. I like it. I
like when
rewatch
the
it plenty of
motorcycle drives
times
up
in
the
my
wall.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
Cool.
opening scene where Joker's robbing the bank, incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible stuff.
There's a lot of iconic stuff. Like it is. I haven't watched it in a while, but even the blowing up the hospital and it famously didn't go off for real, and like it was delayed, and he just reacted and stayed in character. Like that's
Great
cinema,
scene.
man. That's
Yeah.
magic. Yeah. So good stuff in there. Good
What the
pick.
hell does Wally Pfister do now? Remember when he used to shoot all of Christopher Nolan's movies?
We tried to become a director, I think, and that didn't pan out as much. So I don't know.
His name's Wally Pfister, not Wally Director.
Not
That's
Wally
right. You should stick
Producer.
to something else. Yeah.
Oh, man.
And
But Colin,
obviously-
Colin's on the clock. Yeah.
I'm on the clock. Just real quick, I want to clarify when Jacob said that's not even my favorite Christopher Nolan Batman movie. He was implying that my favorite Christopher Nolan Batman movie is, of course, Insomnia, which is a film about a detective catching a serial killer.
right.
Nice.
Look, Jacob just answered. Like I'm picking what he said I'm picking. Like I will
knew
go
it.
down the path that you're setting up. This is what I was saying before. This is my favorite film. It's in my top 10. This is a movie that I love. I'm gonna
This is the movie.
spoil. This is the movie. I'm gonna spoil and say it's not Mask of the Phantasm. I wish I was that cool. I hope. I guess it falls to Mike because Jacob, you're probably not going to get another Batman movie. That somebody does pick that movie. I think if Joe is here, he might pick that movie. But I got to stay weird. I got to stay in my freak little heart and talk about a film that gave me very sexual awakening when I was a child. In fact, when it was the first movie I ever saw in theaters in my life at 3 years old, I have a distinct memory of seeing Pee Wee Herman throw a baby in the river, being my first memory in movie theaters. I'm, of course, talking about a film called Batman Returns, directed by Tim Burton, an absolute
Wow.
maniac.
That's right. Another Danny DeVito movie.
Yeah.
But Colin, am I right in thinking that if you had to choose a Christopher Nolan Batman movie, you would choose Batman Begins
Yes, that is
over
my
The Dark Knight?
that is my much preferred Batman movie. Yes.
Right. Okay. I'm not. I
That's a
wasn't
great
a huge
pick, yeah.
DC person, but Batman Returns got the Penguin, Michelle Pfeiffer, Catwoman. Got a gun umbrella.
It
It's cool.
it has Christopher Walken playing a Max Schreck, once again an original character to this movie, where I'm just freaked out as a kid. I've never seen an entity as scary as this man who talks in a way that no other human being talks. And
Right.
Michelle Pfeiffer,
Michelle
in the
Pfeiffer.
catsuit, the
Yeah.
Susie and the Banshees score by Danny Elfman, where Susie and the Banshee comes in and sings Face to Face.
I mean,
I'll
that whole
never get
movie
over it.
has a lot of weird BDSM vibes to it, right?
Yeah.
Now,
a
what do
very
you
dark
guys
and
say?
adult movie for kids. Yeah.
A sexual nightmare. It should not have had a McDonald's crossover, which it did when kids were young. I believe parents rebelled or yelled at Burger King or something. But what
Right.
do you guys say to the criticism that Batman is barely in that film? Because it's never bugged me, because Batman's always kind of seemed boring to me, and instead I like the film about freaky, dirty little weirdos trying to defeat him, basically.
Yeah.
Right.
And you got the weirdest little gremlin, Danny DeVito, as
Yeah.
the Penguin, being a weird sexual creep.
A version of the Penguin no one has ever done again, Jacob.
No.
And
he's
Except
usually
for
like a
Space
rich
Jam:
guy.
A New Legacy, where he does appear in the background.
of course,
Right.
yes. Oh man.
I consider it, of the 90s era Batman, which Batman came out in 89, but I would consider,
Yeah.
Batman through Batman and Robin, Batman Forever, obviously. I would consider Batman Returns the best of those movies for sure.
Yeah.
Best villains, best chemistry between Catwoman and Batman and all that. So yeah, I think that's a great pick if you're going that
Mike
era.
said the thing about TMNT being shot on film. This is a movie that looks like it's shot on film on the weirdest German expression soundstage that has ever been created. It's all fog and Art Deco maniac black and white spirals. I mean, it's
and
Tim
this is
Burton.
really it's really Tim Burton at the top of his game, because he made Batman. People are like, okay, that was a huge hit. Now you can do whatever you want for the sequel.
Let me do it. What?
Yeah, he's like, okay, I'm gonna turn this weird sexual nightmare.
I
and
showed
he's
you
killing
my
it.
dream journal. Oh, we don't want to see this.
You thought that was the script. It was.
This is disgusting. That's Catwoman. She puts a bird in her mouth.
She does. Oh man.
Do you guys remember the scene where Michelle Pfeiffer uses the bolo whip and knocks the head off the mannequin?
Yep.
Film for real. You can watch BTS footage of her doing it. She's incredible.
Wow.
That's sick.
Wow.
It's like the basketball shot in the Alien movie. Like, we got it.
Hell yeah, dude.
That's cool. That's a great pick. Yeah.
That's a good pick. That's a solid pick. You're going.
And here's the thing. I've won the draft. I got the 2 movies I wanted. We're done
great.
here.
That's
both
great.
Old school 90s movies.
Yeah.
Bringing it back old school. But Mike,
yes,
I believe it's your 3rd pick now.
It is.
And, you can go a lot of different directions at this point.
I can go so many directions, and I might have to, because Colin, I got to match his freak, I think. He's starting to get crazy, and I can't predict what he's going to do. But I have a list here, so we rounded that round out with Blade, The Dark Knight, and Batman Returns. People who fight crime at night. So, with my 3rd pick...
A lot of leather in those 3 picks.
Yeah, a lot of black leather.
We love black leather.
So I do have to go kind of crazy. You guys have selected your Batman, so I feel pretty safe kind of punting that. But there's something
that can be your last now, yeah.
Exactly. I can kind of chill with that. So there's something that is a little bit wild that I feel like might be in Colin's wheelhouse. And because I'm the only Ant-Man apologist, I'm not taking Ant-Man, but I'm taking another Edgar Wright movie, Scott Pilgrim.
Okay, so now this is based
he
on a
gets
comic book,
powers?
but would you consider?
He
Yeah, I guess
has
he is a
powers.
superhero.
It's that he defeats villains.
Villains?
This is a fascinating
Is this
pick, Mike.
okay? Like, rule
I
on
think
it.
it's.
I think it
Yeah, I
counts.
think it's okay. Yeah, I think it counts.
It's comics. He gets powers. He
I
fights
didn't think of it,
villains.
but I think that's a great
Here's the
pick.
other thing, Mike. He's such a pop culture icon. They re-release that book every once in a while. Not only does he have a live-action movie, he just had that animated series. That to
Yeah.
me shows he permeates the culture.
Yeah, and it's like it's just one of those movies. It's so stylized. Like I remember really loving it when it came out. Mary Elizabeth Winstead, obviously, I got to have one of those in my lineup. And it's just so much fun. It's like if Foolie Cooley was a movie, like it would be something like Scott Pilgrim. The way Edgar Wright directed it, like it's just so unique. I love Edgar Wright's work, so I had to get Scott Pilgrim on the board. And I thought, I don't know, Colin might go crazy if he got Turtles already. Like there's a chance he's going real, like the same as me, kind of
Yeah,
coloring outside the
I
lines.
think that's a
so I
great
wanted to
pick. I love that movie. Funny story about when that movie came out. Colin may remember when we were in college.
Oh yeah.
I went to see this movie with some friends of ours, including our friends Cole and Andy, friends of the pod. Both guys I would generally consider have good taste with movies and stuff. We went to see this movie. They, after like 20 minutes, walked out of the theater. They're like, we hate
Right.
this. This is giving us a headache. We don't like the visuals. They left the theater. And I was like, well, all right, the people I came with just walked out, but I really want to watch this movie. So
Yeah, we kept watching.
Right.
to
I
me,
like
that's
that
one of the
movie.
worst. Yeah, you were there too, Colin.
Yeah, I was
Uh,
happy to keep watching it, dog.
One of the worst takes of all time from our buddies not liking that movie.
Weird,
But,
just weird and boring. What?
Yeah, I do not
Yeah.
understand that at all.
They didn't
And
like
I've
the
heard
video
this story.
game visuals. Too, was giving them headaches. Too all over the place, I guess. But yeah,
No,
I think it's
and
great.
when he throws the package behind him and it goes in the bin, done for real in camera. You know? So
There you
good.
go.
And we get a Chris Evans, another Chris Evans comic book sighting. So
That's right.
yep.
Michael Cera.
Mhm.
Co-starring maybe in his funniest role, because I haven't seen that much stuff, but Jacob's favorite Succession Culkin baby.
Yeah, he's great in
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Well, I should have known that Mike would pick it because it does have his favorite actress of all time, Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
That's
So
very true, dog.
Birds
I
of
should
Prey
have
was in
guessed.
the running, not quite, but I
You
had
are
to get it
very on
somewhere.
brand right now, Mike.
Birds of Prey
I'm trying.
is a movie that I like a lot. If you're talking
No.
DC, the
Well, then you get Ewan McGregor
DCEU,
again.
No.
it's a top 3 DCEU movie.
There's no way you would
Maybe
ever put that
5.
on your list. That's
I wouldn't pick it as my top 5, but I'm saying
in the DCEU.
for me in the DCEU, which is not a lot of good movies in that span of time for DC. But I liked Birds of Prey, very underrated movie.
I'll remind you, Zack Snyder's Justice League still on the board. Everybody, just throw it out there.
And it will remain on the board.
Yep,
Yeah.
but Jacob, you are on the clock. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, great picks all around.
Hmm.
A lot off the board. I'm looking at Mike took Spider-Man 2.
Hmm.
Obviously,
I'm
that was
nervous.
my first Spider-Man pick.
Right.
But I did have a pivot. Now I could go a couple different directions here, but I think I'm feeling good about this pick. Now that you might say this is recency bias.
Hmm.
But I just really like this movie. Across the Spider-Verse.
You scoop me. You scoop me.
Wow.
Oh, see now, Colin, I thought you might take Into the Spider-Verse, the first one, over Across the Spider-Verse. But I prefer the second one, even though it ends with a cliffhanger, even though it's only the first half of a
Mhm.
story, kind of. The visuals, the creative, imagination that went into depicting this world. I mean, the animation, it's incredible. One of the greatest animated movies of all time, in my opinion. And yeah, I love this movie. Colin and I went to the premiere in LA together. Great
That's right.
experience. Had a great time
Incredible.
watching it with Amy Pascal.
And Tom Rothman, president of Sony.
Architect
Yeah.
of the greatest era of Spider-Villain movies we've ever seen.
That's right.
It had everybody clapped at what it said. Special thanks to Avi Arad. It was so strange, Jake.
Yeah, all those Sony people were there, the directors and everyone. But you know what? We both love this movie, and yeah, it's got to be Across the Spider-Verse, my Spider-Man pick.
Okay. I thought you were going to go with the first one as well. It's a complete, it has a complete arc for Gwen, and we get set up for and I really liked her arc in that movie. So yeah.
It's exactly
Yes,
what I was about to
absolutely.
argue, Mike. The second one's
Gwen
a
arc
Gwen
is
movie.
great.
It tells a perfect story for her. It doesn't need to have a quote unquote cliffhanger.
And you
Correct.
could say, obviously, you could say the first one is a better Miles story. It's a better Spider-Man movie,
For sure.
perhaps. But I think even the jump in animation and visuals from the first movie to the second movie, and the first movie is great too, but the second movie just takes it to a whole new level. And
Yeah.
I'm very excited for that next movie whenever that comes out in 2025.
And it's crazy
Probably.
that from 2018 to when Across the Spider-Verse came out, like, yeah, they really said hold my beer to themselves, you know, for
Yeah.
something that was already
We're gonna
incredible.
one up this. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And a great another visual style pick similar to Scott Pilgrim, like something just has a lot of style
Yeah.
and flair and yeah.
Absolutely. I love how each like universe has its own aesthetic to it. So
Ah.
like Gwen's is all like pastel and kind of you
Watercolor,
get just
yeah.
different animation styles and stuff. So cool. So cool.
Absolutely. That's a great
and
pick.
that's my
Oscar
pick.
Isaac, dog. You've got
Oscar Isaac.
You get 2099 Spider-Man with your pick too. You get Jacob. I bragged about 4 turtles. You just picked every Spider-Man.
That's right.
That's
I got live action Donald Glover trapped in that cage.
Yeah, yeah. Got
yeah.
Spider-Ham. Yeah, I'd love to see it.
You've got
Spider-Ham
that weird little spectacular Spider-Man cartoon who walks out and he's like, "Listen to him, Miles." Just
That's
does that real
right.
quick for the fans, and fans are like,
Yeah.
"Yeah."
They had the
Yeah, Jake
popsicle, too.
Johnson as Peter Parker who kind of let himself
Peter
go, had a
B.
kid.
Parker.
That
Yeah.
might be my favorite Jake Johnson role outside of New Girl.
Sure.
is
That
Peter
might be my
Parker.
favorite Spider-Man, dog. I mean, he's fuck up
The most
Spider-Man.
relatable Spider-Man for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, he's extremely relatable. Yeah, great pick. And either of those they both should be gone by the time we're done.
Yeah,
here,
I think Colin
you know?
could still take Into if he
Yeah.
wanted to.
But we'll see.
Let's move to me real quick.
Yeah,
and
Colin, you're
let's
on the
talk it
clock.
out because you scooped me. Like I said, I wanted to cross.
Scooped him.
I
You
want
scooped him.
Spider-Man, and now I'm feeling like I'm in a position, Jacob, where I might
took the
end
two
this list
best.
without having a Spider-Man on here. Yeah,
Wow.
it's
You could still go Spider-Man 1, Sam Raimi. You go Into the Spider-Verse.
You get
But
crazy
yeah,
with.
you go No Way
Mark
Home,
Webb.
possibly.
I like
Yeah,
Homecoming
Amazing
a lot.
Spider-Man 2.
I definitely would never put that on my top 5 superhero movie list, though.
Yeah.
I get the names mixed up because they're all home. But is Homecoming Vulture?
Homecoming's the first one.
It's the Vulture. Yeah.
That's my favorite.
It's Homecoming,
Yeah.
Far From Home, No Way Home.
Home. That's right.
And No Way Home, if you wanted, you know what? I get all 3 Spider-Men in the same movie. But again, I don't know if I would put that in my top 5.
And I can't pick it based on the villains. I mean, like, I don't want to be like, well, I want the one where I at least get Mysterio or Vulture or, I mean, I guess you're saying that one where you get to pick 5. But
Get Willem Dafoe, Jamie Foxx,
great Willem
all the
Dafoe
classics.
turn, to be fair.
I do love Willem Dafoe in No Way
it
Home.
is good. Here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm deducting points here. Personally, on my list, I may be just lost because I am.
You got your first 2 that you wanted,
but I'm losing a Spider-Man. It's
a whole
to
Spider-Man.
end this thing, and I've decided that I'm not going to have Spidey on my list. It is
because none of the remaining are kind of a top 5.
They can't get up there for me. They cannot get up there for me. I think Into the Spider-Verse is extremely rewatchable, but it does not hit me as hard as Across does. Just to be totally honest,
I teared up several times in Across for sure.
I agree with that. That's why I had to scoop it.
So here's where I'm going.
Okay.
I'm again going the route of this is something that's not even on your guys' list. You do not care about this movie, but I've gushed about it. It's one of the recent films that I like rewatching. I am going DCEU, Jacob. I'm taking The Suicide Squad.
Hey.
Okay. I didn't think about that one, but yeah, that's top 3 in the DCEU to me. It's Wonder Woman, The Suicide Squad, and Birds of Prey are the 3 best DCEU.
Yeah, that's maybe my list too. I like that first Shazam. I know Zachary Levi that we're not allowed to say that anymore, but I do like that first Shazam.
I thought it was fun, but I've never watched it again. You know? Whereas these other 3 that you mentioned, I have seen at least more than once.
I have seen Shazam 2 as well.
Not on the list. I've said on this podcast, there was a watcha that we did at one point where I was like, guys, I did it again. Every night I just fall asleep to The Suicide Squad now.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the best written superhero movie ever made. I think James Gunn wrote a political, interesting film. I've said before, it's the plot of Predator. It's literally people go to a foreign country, Valverde versus Corto Maltese, and hunt an alien. That's the plot of the films. Like,
Yeah.
it's while you watch them get killed. It's so crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But it says so much about imperialism. It says so much about America interfering in foreign affairs. It did the rare thing that everyone says is impossible now, which is it made an obscure character popular. John Cena got an entire career
Right.
Mm-hmm.
because of that film. And the
Peacemaker.
character Peacemaker, who has a TV show now, who will be getting a second season,
Mhm.
who I watched the Suicide Squad Isekai, which is like an anime.
Mhm.
Peacemaker's the biggest character on that. If you write
Wow.
a Suicide Squad book at DC now, guess who the first character they use is?
Really, Peacemaker. That's surprising because
Wow.
I mean, I guess it's not that surprising. But first of all, so James Gunn, this was sort of his audition to be the guy, to be the new Zack Snyder and say, okay, take over the DCU, take over, make a Superman movie.
Feige.
That's
Mhm.
right. So, and of course, coming from Disney, he had the, Guardians of the Galaxy. He knows how to make a quality superhero movie and generally one about a team that's an unlikely family that has to come together, which is exactly what
Now,
Suicide Squad and Guardians of the Galaxy are.
Jacob,
Mhm.
I've been very critical lately about Dungeons and Dragons, a movie we love. Is that film? Borderlands, a horrible movie that just came out. Is that film?
A movie that saw Guardians of the Galaxy and was like, let's just do that, but worse.
A Hollywood model that Guardians of the Galaxy is the thing that you have to rip off.
Mhm.
Guess what? The only person who has done a better iteration of that is James Gunn, ripping off himself to make the Suicide Squad.
Right.
I agree.
And
Yeah.
no, I thought that was a super solid movie. I loved it. And it's interesting you say Peacemaker is now the most popular Suicide Squad member, but I've been, as you know, Colin, watching those DC animated movies this summer, which a little foreshadowing that I'll be talking about in our watch in a couple weeks.
Can't
Nice.
wait.
My big summer project. But there are actually 4 Suicide Squad movies that have been made. 2 live action, Suicide Squad and The Suicide Squad, and 2 animated, Batman Assault on Arkham,
Right.
which is a Suicide Squad movie. It's just called Batman. It's set in the Arkham video game universe.
Right.
And the other one is Suicide Squad Hell to Pay.
Not a bad film.
No. In both of those, the main character is Deadshot, who's also the main character in Suicide Squad, Will Smith. Of course, Deadshot and Harley Quinn generally being the 2 most popular, with Captain Boomerang in there. Peacemaker not in either of those animated movies because that's before he became popular from the Suicide Squad. So it's interesting that he's overtaken Deadshot now, the leader of the Suicide Squad traditionally.
I
Just took
think
his job.
he's
Yeah.
on pace to outshine Harley Quinn, dog.
Now that's a bold statement because Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn is, I think, the most successful thing that DC has done in like the last 15 years, right?
Birds
Wow.
of Prey. Yeah.
I mean, she's the only crossover star, I guess, if you're thinking, John Cena Peacemaker, but Harley Quinn, Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn is the only one that I really think has cultural permeation from the DCEU. People aren't still talking about Henry Cavill and Ben
But
Affleck and stuff.
what do you say to the people who are like Amanda Waller?
I mean, Amanda Waller, Viola Davis is a solid Amanda Waller, but to me, she didn't define the role because I've seen other Amanda Wallers that, doing sort of the same kind of performance.
And what do you say to Ariana Greenblatt, star of Borderlands, as Tiny Tina, saying she based her performance on Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn?
Well, that doesn't surprise me. But Tiny Tina in the video games of Borderlands is a very Harley Quinn-esque character, just with bad writing. But yeah,
terrible writing.
It seems that the whole Borderlands movie had bad writing.
let me read what we each have 3 picks now, and I will read them out.
Catch me up, because this is really going to guide where I'm heading here.
Yeah. So Mike has Spider-Man 2, Blade, and Scott Pilgrim.
That's great. That's incredible.
That's a good top
great
3.
list. I would trade for that list, dog.
Appreciate it.
I have Logan, The Dark Knight, and Across the Spider-Verse.
Arguably undefeatable.
That's really
I
good.
mean, I have the most normie, like, yeah, these all have like 90% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Juggernaut of a
And
list.
we'll
yeah.
break down our team comp at the end too, kind of what
Right.
this philosophy is. But
And then
so
Colin, you have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Batman Returns, and The Suicide Squad. And I think that's a great list. It's you're taking your personal favorites, and I respect
The
that.
dirtiest freaks possible.
far, yeah,
Yeah.
I guess I can't match your freaks.
What's the team in The Longest Yard? They're like the Mud Dogs or something.
Oh,
I
geez,
think
yeah.
that's what I'm thinking
Yeah.
of, the jail team.
Right.
I can't remember. Steve Austin's in that one.
Got
Paul
Adam
Wrecking
Sandler as
Crew.
your
Yeah, I
quarterback.
just cast Steve Austin. I just drafted Steve Austin.
Absolutely.
But that's
I
the
think
first
everybody's-
3 rounds.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
good starting threes, honestly. I think I'd watch any of these movies, really.
Two
Absolutely.
more good and a loosey-goosey to go.
2 more good and
That's
a
right,
loosey-goosey
that's
to go.
So it's back to Mike with his 4th pick here.
So my 4th pick, it's going to be safe for me. I know I still don't have a Batman. My 5th pick is really going to be the hardest one. So I'm going to take an easy answer. I had a pivot because Colin did scoop me early. And I'm just going to grab Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, which
Wow.
Secret of the Ooze,
notably
Michael.
worse,
Wow.
but the camp factor is great,
More Ninja Turtles have been picked than I expected. I'll say that.
The same number of turtles have been picked as Batman. It's all I'm going to say.
So, Mike,
Yeah.
you get Super Shredder. You get not Bebop and Rocksteady. You get
You
the
get
two
Toga and Razor,
main
yeah. But you get some really iconic cheesy moments, Num Nums, the donuts, Vanilla Ice. Like, it's so fun. It's stupid, but it's so fun. Like, they live in a subway, which is sick. Like, I love their lair.
Since I was a kid, I wanted to live there.
Yeah,
Dog.
it's not art. Like, I argue the original Turtles movie is art. Like, that's a film. Like, it's a film, even though it has dudes in rubber suits. This is just a silly movie, but I love it, and I want it on my roster. So TMNT 2, Secret of the Ooze.
That's great. That's a
I
great
must
pick.
have shocked Jacob too. We picked the 2 '90s Turtles movies. That's so
Yeah.
funny.
I don't think I'll be picking a Ninja Turtle movie.
What? You're not
You're
gonna
not gonna
pick
take the
Turtles in
2007?
time? Yeah.
I
Michael
could pick
Bay's?
that. Yeah, I could pick I could pick the Michael Bay ones. I could pick the new one. Whatever that. I forget what that was called. Mutant Mayhem.
Yeah.
Probably not though. Probably not.
The honorable mention, the movie version of The Secret of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like they did like a direct-to-video movie. Those, they actually do have like legit superpowers because they get mystic weapons and shit. But that is
Right.
a really
remember
fun
that.
movie. Like the
Yeah.
anime,
Yeah.
it has like really good fight animation. So shout out to that. But Ninja Turtles 2 is
Wow.
on my team.
That's great.
That's my 4th pick. Jacob's on the
Jacob,
clock.
are you
For
the
me-
only one with an animated so far?
Yes,
It looks like it,
I
yep.
think so.
Wow.
And I do. There's a lot of animated movies I like. Like I said, I've been watching these DC animated movies. And yeah, if I was gonna spend another spot on a Batman, I might take Mask of the Phantasm.
Mm-hmm.
I might even take Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker, which is a great movie, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not gonna do that.
I mean, a Flashpoint
instead-
movie is good too. Not
Yeah.
the Flash, the cartoon.
No, the Flashpoint Paradox.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was good. Yeah.
Basically, I'll just announce, and this is, like I said, going to be coming up on our watch up, but I've been watching all of the DC animated movies from the 90s to current day. There's like over 100, and I'm watching
Wow.
as many as I can and ranking them, and I will reveal my ranking in the watch up from
Nice.
best to worst. So we'll see how many I get through by the time of our watch up, but that's been something that's ongoing for the past 2 months that I've been doing. It's been a lot of fun.
Heck yeah.
So get ready for that. Normies in a couple weeks. But none of those movies will be on my list here.
But just a shout out. Yeah, I thought I was proud of myself for watching 14 The Grudges, but you're at like 100 DC animated, so hats off to you, sir.
I don't think I'm
Why
going to be
did
watching
you do that,
100, but
Mike?
I'm probably going to be watching 60 plus.
Still
Now,
awesome.
something that might blow you guys' mind is that no one has taken an MCU movie yet.
Wow.
True.
None of these are
That does
MCU
not
movies.
say a lot about Marvel.
No.
No, but I think I'm about to break that now and
Oh, let
take
me
the
write it down.
first
I gotta guess.
MCU movie off the board.
Mike's
And
making a guess.
Okay, I got to guess.
oh yes, make your guess.
Standing
We'll see
by.
if you get this because there's one that I often say is my favorite, but I think I'm going sort of the Colin route with his Suicide Squad pick. I'm taking Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Guardians
Wow.
2. I got
He
it.
nailed it. He nailed
I
it.
nailed it.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
I thought
Well,
you might
got one of
think
mine.
Thor Ragnarok, which
Wow.
is another one of my favorites, but no, Guardians of the
Amazing
Galaxy
pick,
2.
and Mike, amazing guess.
Predict,
Oh my
yeah.
God.
That was
that's
a great
hard
guess.
read. Yeah. That would
Yeah,
have been
'cause
on
I
my
could.
list too of MCU movies, but please go ahead.
It was also on my list, Jacob. You scooped me.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
It's the best Guardians movie in my opinion. I like all the Guardians movies, but that one's the best. There's a lot of father-son stuff, which really gets me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just it's another really emotional movie that makes me cry at the end.
Kurt Russell
James,
was somehow more handsome in that film than he was playing
Yeah.
Snake Plissken.
right? Yeah,
Yo,
he's a handsome
yeah.
old man.
I love him in the Santa
Um,
Claus movies. You know, I love Kurt Russell and Wyatt
yeah,
Russell. You know.
and you have what's his name, Yondu.
Yep.
Basically
Michael
his
Rooker. Yeah.
Yep.
Michael Rooker, his adopted dad, and that's the relationship that really gets me there. Where Yondu at the end, his sacrifice, and
Mhm.
man, they have a funeral for him at the end. It's so good.
And
Cat
Rocket's
Stevens,
the best character in the MCU. I've said that
Rocket,
1,000
yeah.
times.
And you could
Wow,
say the
yeah.
third one is a better Rocket movie, maybe, but I don't know because that one's just very. I mean, that one's very dark and very hard to
Right.
watch at times, of course. But yeah, this one it really gets me. And of course, all these movies have great soundtracks, and I think that might have the best soundtrack, in my opinion, the best collection of songs. James
Now,
Gunn is great at those soundtracks, of
you're
course.
choosing a movie that destroyed pop culture in a way, in the way that the first
That
film
we
we
now
talked
have
about.
Borderlands. Yeah.
Well, in the first film
Yeah.
we talked about all these weird ensemble films. Jacob, the way Guardians 2 destroys pop culture, it introduces Baby Groot, which leads to
Right.
baby things
Yoda.
like
Yeah.
Grogu and yes, all these other things.
They copy their own homework.
That's very
at
true.
Disney. They're like, wait a
I
minute.
guess, yeah, Baby Grogu did not exist when Guardians 2 came out. It must have been right shortly after that, because I think that was 2018.
Yeah.
So I don't remember when The Mandalorian season 1 dropped, but it had to be maybe 2019,
2020, maybe?
2020,
Yeah,
COVID
right around
era.
COVID.
I don't know.
Yep.
Well, that's why he's wearing a mask.
I just think
Yeah.
of what apartment I was living in during lockdown. And, oh, that's when I watched that. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, Guardians 2, James Gunn. Look, we've praised him a lot. I love him. I'm excited for
him.
the DCU for that reason. I'm excited for his Superman movie. Mike, you said you're not a Superman guy generally, but James
This
Gunn, he's
one
just
I'm
different.
looking forward to. He's shooting it in
Yeah.
Cleveland, birthplace of
That's right.
Superman.
That's right.
Took him long enough, he said. And yeah, he's great. I also love the Suicide Squad that Colin picked in the last round.
Yeah.
And this is on my list. Similarly, it has a lot of heart, you know, and it also is light enough. Like the third one is heavy. This still has like enough levity that it's fun, but it still can get
Yes.
you emotionally where it counts, but it's not
And
too
this
much.
one,
Yep.
sorry, is
Oh.
also the introduction of Mantis, one of my favorite characters, who develops
love
into one of my favorite
Mantis.
characters. And Mantis and now I'm blanking on his name, but
Drax.
Batista's character,
Oh,
Drax.
Drax, yeah.
Mantis and Drax's relationship is so fun too. Like this
Oh.
sister brother relationship they have, and even in the Guardians holiday special,
Yeah.
which I would recommend seeing if you never saw it. It's pretty fun. Has Kevin Bacon in it.
Yes.
And they're kind of the stars of that. So yeah, love Mantis, love this movie. So yeah, that's my fourth pick, Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
I like your pick, Jacob. Oh man.
Thank you.
You got a good roster. You got a good roster. All right. But Colin, you're now on the clock.
I will
with your number
say,
4
of
pick.
my
Yeah.
top 4, all of them were on my, if I could have just picked 5 straight, 3 of them are on there, and the 4th one was Spider-Man 2. So I got to cross the
Oh.
Spider-Verse instead of Spider-Man 2.
But I
So
know that we said, or that you even called yourself, Jacob, your normie picks or whatever for your
Yeah.
first 3. I know for a fact you do genuinely like those 3 normie movies. But this film, this is like your favorite MCU film. Like this is
Yeah.
you adore. This
Mhm.
is your freak coming out a little. I love this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's generally a well-regarded movie. I don't know if everyone would put it as their favorite MCU movie,
It's my
but
number 2. It's my
Yeah.
number 2, Doug.
Hmm.
It's incredible.
I haven't done a full
You
ranking,
scoop
but
me.
it could be number 1. Like it's super up there. The Guardians
Right.
franchise in general is my
And
favorite part of the
Guardians,
MCU. Yeah.
which is crazy because before those movies, like no one cared about the Guardians of the Galaxy.
No.
That was the one where they're like, all right, MCU is really feeling themselves. They're just going to make a movie about anybody now. The Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh,
Nobody
you know
knows
what?
these
The thing
fuckers.
about Peacemaker, but it's so wild to me when people doubt James Gunn. There was an animated Disney Guardians of the Galaxy TV show. Like, do you know how much merch he made and sold for Disney of a team, like you're saying, Jacob, that nobody fucking gave a shit about?
Right.
Like, how would you ever bet against? He's like James Cameron. It's like, why would you bet against him?
Yeah. And
Honestly,
they tried to
yeah.
get him fired. You know, the weird right wingers tried to cancel him. The cast like demanded he come back. Disney was like, fine, we'll hire him back. And that was like the best financial move they could have made. And like I said, Baby Groot being a marketing phenomenon, nobody cared who Star-Lord was. Nobody cared who any of these characters were.
No, and when you go back, think back to Guardians 1, that very first scene with Peter Quill, like he's got his Walkman, he's so charismatic, like you just get it, you just get it, and you're like, okay, I don't know who this guy is, but I like him, like.
Well,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
maybe
don't doubt
led
him.
to the rise of Christianity, unfortunately.
Fair. Well, that's how you stop dinosaurs. You say, Jesus compels
Yeah.
you to stand
praise,
down.
praise him.
Well, again, it's like,
Yeah.
and I don't know if I'm not
You
sure
don't
if
exist
Jurassic
to him.
World
Yeah.
came first or if Guardians 1 came first, but at some point
Guardians, I
someone
believe.
just saw this guy that was like sort of a supporting character in the
Parks
show
and Rec.
Parks and Rec, not
He
the main
lost all the
star.
weight for Guardians.
Yeah.
Dog. Like
He was just known as a
that's
funny
what made him a
guy
star.
who was Aubrey Plaza's boyfriend in that show, and then he turned into a movie star because of this movie. So
Remember,
yeah.
he has made over $1 billion with the Jurassic Park franchise for them, $1 billion with Mario, and billions of dollars in Guardians. So
and Garfield, can't forget about Garfield.
I'm
Right.
mad. I don't like Chris Pratt.
I know.
He's
I know.
Garfield and Mario. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Chris Pratt.
But
He's
the
pretty
performance
low
of
on my Chris
Star-Lord I
rankings.
like.
But
He's low on my
yeah.
Chris rankings too. I put him on the
Last
Christmas.
comment I'll say about Volume 2, Jacob, is Step on Me, Solid Gold, Elizabeth Debicki. Step all over me.
That's
The
right.
batteries.
Tall lady.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Tall lady with the batteries. Step on my neck, please.
Yep. Colin,
well, it looks like
let it
might be having some
just let it ride.
video problems.
Right.
Ride.
Yeah.
All right, Colin, your fourth pick.
All right. So I've been scooped twice now. I lost a Spider-Man. I lost my Guardians Volume 2.
I scooped you with Guardians?
You scooped me with Guardians. It was going to be my fifth. It was going to be my bottom.
You're going to pick two James Gunns in your top 5.
Yeah, but it's something I felt good about. I love Volume 2. I feel an obligation to maybe go MCU here. I'm still kind of reeling about not having a Spider-Man. I don't know.
Still got time.
It's tough.
Yeah, I don't know. And there's also a question of, do I double dip? Because there is another movie of one of the characters that I've chosen that I absolutely adore. And I said that comment about no animated yet.
Right. I'm getting into crazy territory too right now. I don't even know what I'm gonna do next. So I feel you, because I don't have
my fifth pick's going to be a little wild too.
Here's what I'm doing though, and I'm hoping this wasn't what you were saving for your safety, Mike.
I was say Mike doesn't have a Batman and you don't have a Spider-Man at this moment.
Wow.
Then
but go ahead.
I'm ditching Spidey, who is my favorite hero, to double down on the fascist, who I don't really love that much, and I am going Lego Batman, which I think is a superior, incredible animated film, and that it's one of a kind. It's a Lego.
That's awesome,
You're going
dude.
2 Batmans, Lego Batman, which I did watch as part of my DC animation watch. And I like it. I don't think I like it as much as you do, Colin. But
I think it's the best Batman movie ever. I'm obviously very strucken by Returns because, again, psychosexual nightmares.
Mm-hmm.
But the little brick who just is so mean to Michael Cera's weird little orphan character is Batman to me. It is so perfect. All the villains, I get a good Joker there with Zach Galifianakis. Like, I adore that movie.
Oh yeah,
the voices are great. You got Rosario Dawson, Will Arnett. I do like the Arrested Development connection there with Will Arnett and Michael Cera. If you've ever seen that show, Uncle and Nephew. as Batman and Robin. Love
If you-
that.
Yeah, we get
Um,
another Michael Cera representation on our draft with the Scott Pilgrim.
That's right.
right,
He's getting a
that's
lot of
right.
representation here. I
Double
will say, Will
down.
Arnett, Batman, is a great Batman voice. Like he's one of the best Batmans, I think ever. So yeah, you're
It's
absolutely
odd
right.
that he only stuck to the comedy route. If I was him, Jacob, I would have tried to jump on one of those TV animated series, not even Lego, and just have been like, I want to try to do a real Batman.
Yeah.
Probably
He could do a more straight Batman. He could do a funny Batman. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, I'd say he's the worst thing about the live action Ninja Turtles, but like probably one of the best things about the Lego Batman is, you know.
Right.
The end of the movie is Batman has to fight Voldemort, Daleks, and Godzilla and King Kong, right?
And
That's
yeah,
correct, yeah.
the Eye of Sauron is
Yes.
involved.
I mean,
Yeah.
he fights the whole Warner Brothers cast. It's so weird.
It's
And top of
very
that, you get every
yeah.
Batman villain.
And it's
It
also
becomes
like,
very Space Jam-ish, where it's very meta of like, oh, we're having all these different properties because they're all in the Phantom
Legoverse.
Zone, which
The
yeah,
Phantom Zone.
they're all the
yeah.
worst villains are be kept in the Phantom Zone, and they all get released.
Two weird facts. It's the first time Zoe Kravitz plays Catwoman.
That's right. That's right.
Very
Channing
strange.
Tatum, Superman, Jonah Hill,
That's
Green
right.
Lantern.
Yes.
he's gonna make a name for
Uh,
himself, yeah.
And then the canceled sequel. Did you guys ever hear about the canceled sequel?
No.
What Batman?
Written by Dan Harmon. It was supposed to be called Lego Batman and the Super Friends, where it's about him realizing that the Justice League doesn't like him.
Really? That's funny.
There is kind of that in that first movie because he goes to Superman's Fortress of Solitude and they're like having a big party and he's like, oh, I didn't get invited. So that yeah, I can see that. Here's a fun fact too about that movie. So Ralph Fiennes, who plays Voldemort in the Harry Potter movies,
Mm-hmm.
voices Alfred Pennyworth in that movie, but he doesn't voice the Voldemort that's in that movie. So I always thought that was a little weird. But
It is
so
weird.
No,
Voldemort's
it's
voiced by a different
Eddie
actor.
Izzard, and I don't mean to dead
Yeah.
name her. I'm not positive what her transition name is, but it's
Yeah.
comedian Eddie Izzard, which is incredible.
But Ralph Fiennes as Alfred. So great voice cast, great Lego animation. I love when they build stuff. And yeah, that's a really solid pick, I think.
It's off meta and like super strong. It's like the scouts they didn't go to the small school, right? And there's this generational talent and you found them. Good work.
Found him in the woods.
Yep.
Mike, I would have felt weird
Scronkus.
not getting an animated on there. Jacob only having the one. It's like, to me,
Yeah.
superheroes are drawn.
Fair.
That's true.
Fair. I'm not, I like Phantasm and stuff because I guess I'm to my fifth pick now if we're coming around.
Yeah.
Like, I will not have an animated one necessarily. I have a
Wow.
highly stylized live action with Scott Pilgrim, but I won't have an animated one. What I'm being torn with now is what will the fifth movie be? And I do not have a Batman.
Don't have a Batman.
And I'm looking at my list here. I don't think
Don't have an
anything-
MCU.
The way that
Right.
we talk about him is like, is Batman the most iconic superhero? I guess
Well,
so.
here's-
We're all just like, well, we
To
have
me,
to
I
have
think he is. And to also, I think Batman is the superhero with the most good movies in his canon.
Fair.
Like there's more good Batman movies than good Spider-Man movies, good Superman movies, good Avengers movie, like even
right.
like MCU. Like I think the Batmans, if you look at all the Batman movies together, it's the most solid like filmography of any superhero.
And there is
Yeah.
the Batman, Mike.
Which,
That's
as
right.
you mentioned that, and we mentioned Zoe Kravitz, I love Mad Max Fury Road. I think, honestly, it is my favorite, and Jacob has it written down.
I had that
Batman.
for when I wrote down what I thought your second pick was going to be. When I thought you were
Wow.
going to Batman, I
You're
thought if you
correct,
go a
though.
Batman route,
Oh, that's
you're
a
going to take
payoff.
the
I
Batman.
figured you wrote down Dark Knight, Jacob. That's funny.
No, so
No,
the
because I
Batman.
think Mike likes the Batman better than the Dark Knight.
Wow.
It's my favorite Batman movie because he's emo.
He is emo. Robert
Uh,
Pattinson.
Robert Pattinson.
We
get
love him.
Paul Dano. I like when Paul Dano gets beat up. Prisoners.
Yeah.
This movie.
This is a joke for nobody, but My
There
Ace
Will Be
Chemicals Romance.
Oh, I like that. Oh, that's good. But yeah, he's great. He has to learn. I can't just punch all the crime away. Like I like the arc. Like this is the most movie about Batman besides like Batman Begins. Like what the psychology of being
Yes.
Batman instead of being Bruce Wayne. Like he's ignoring
Interesting.
Bruce Wayne responsibilities because he's obsessed with the Batman persona, and I
Yeah.
like that exploration.
I like it a lot. It's
Yeah,
one of my favorite. Like my top 3 Batman movies might be The Dark Knight, Mask of the Phantasm, and The Batman. I love the
right.
world that it sets up. I love Pattinson,
I love the
and
car
I
chase.
love
The
that
second
it's
best Penguin. Go ahead.
yeah, Penguin getting his own HBO show. We're all excited for it. Uh,
No, I'm
Colin
not watching
Farrell.
that.
Right.
There's not a chance.
You're watching it.
Right.
And I love that it's, I think, very inspired by Batman Year One, which is a
Mm.
Frank Miller line that he did after The Dark Knight Returns, I believe, where it is a young Batman just starting out as Batman. He doesn't have a ton of high tech gear yet and stuff. And I feel like that's what this younger Pattinson Batman is inspired by.
Did you watch that Bryan Cranston movie, Jacob?
Yes, yes.
Mm.
Holds
And
up?
that's a
I can't
good one. Yeah.
remember. That's a good one.
It's it's a good one in terms of those DC animated movies. Batman Year One.
Huh.
And yeah, I like the young Batman trying to figure things out on the fly. This is kind of his first big case with the Riddler, where he's doing detective work and stuff, solving riddles. So I think that's a great pick, and I rewatched it recently, and I think it holds up. Except the third act, it falls apart a little bit for me in the third act.
Well,
But
here's what I'll say, Mike.
Yeah.
And please defend this. Too
Hmm.
long.
Yeah, no,
it's a
I
little
don't
too long.
disagree.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I figured there's nothing. Like I have stuff on my list that I like, but I don't think anything that I could consider is better quality wise. It is long. It's probably the best use of the volume, and then I think of the highs. Like that car chase is sick. Like the hallway fight with the guns
Oh
is
my
sick,
God.
but it is a little bit long. Once we get to the arena, I feel there was some rewrites or something happening. But
Yeah.
otherwise, I think it's really great.
The Batmobile
One
is
scene I
so
love,
cool, dude.
Yeah,
the
just too
Batmobile
long.
is great. I think the scene that I love that I think epitomizes this Batman is when he's using like his glider or something to like fall, and he just like hits like the
Yeah.
bridge and just eats shit and just like wipes out trying
He's,
to
like,
use a
getting
parachute.
hurt.
And he's like, yeah. He's like,
Yeah.
he's still learning. Like he doesn't have it all figured out yet.
He's not perfectly suave like Christian Bale
Rata
jumps down with his
Alata. Rat with wings. Penguin.
And I love Colin Farrell's why are you showing that for? Come on, man. Like he's like unrecognizable as the Penguin. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it's just too long. But yeah, it's my favorite Batman movie. Something in the way, a little Nirvana pull. I don't know. It's
That's right. He
Thumb
loves
Drive,
riding
maybe
his
the best book
motorcycle,
ever.
listening to
Yeah,
Thumb
Nirvana.
Drive.
it's
Thumb
simple,
Drive.
but
Oh,
it's
this
like,
guy's hilarious.
right.
Jeffrey
maybe I
Wright,
should help
Commissioner
people.
Gordon.
Maybe the
Yeah.
best Gordon.
Yeah, very good Gordon. I mean, the
I like
Christopher Nolan
Oldman
Gordon is
too.
good too. Yeah.
Old Gary Oldman.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a
that'll be my
solid pick, and
5.
that was my guess of if you took a Batman, it would be that one. So
But
yes,
LVP notwithstanding, I do not have an MCU movie on my list of top 5 superhero draft. So there you go.
Wow.
wow.
Guardians
I
was
hope
there,
you
but
choose
it's
it for your
gone.
loser movie.
yes. We'll see. But yeah, Jacob, your number 5 pick.
Well, that goes to my 5th pick, and I'm gonna go. I've been pretty mainstream so far. I've been pretty normie, like I said. I'm gonna go with a sort of a wilder pick,
Okay.
a left field pick, and maybe a forgotten about movie to a certain degree.
Okay.
But actually, these are movies that I rewatched recently, and I still love the first 2 of these movies. And I'm talking not a Marvel character, not a DC character. I'm talking Hellboy 2, The
Oh!
Golden Army,
A dark horse character.
a dark
Nice.
horse.
I was flip-flopping
Hellboy.
between a Hellboy movie and The Batman, so good job. Good pick.
Yeah, the Batman would have been my pick if I didn't pick The Dark Knight.
Mm-hmm.
Do love that one, but Hellboy,
Yeah.
a character created by Mike Mignola, right, for Dark Horse Comics, like you said. Hellboy 2, I like Hellboy 1, but Hellboy 2 I like a lot more. That's Guillermo del Toro. Well, he did the first 2, of course, but
Mm-hmm.
this is the one where he was really allowed to let his imagination run wild, and it's got this crazy art direction, all these crazy creatures, elf kings and stuff.
Is it called the Troll Market? I mean, that's
the Troll
considered, like,
Market,
the
yeah.
most incredible part of that film, right?
Yeah, and that
all
movie
the
has
puppet.
Doug Jones, who's famous for playing all these weird creatures. he plays like 4 different characters in that one, including Abe Sapien, of course. But he also plays a bunch of other weird characters. He was in, of course, Pan's Labyrinth and all those Del Toro creature type movies.
I wish we'd gotten an Abe Sapien movie.
Abe Sapien
Dude.
is great.
He's the coolest.
In the first one, he's played by Doug Jones in both of them. In the first one, he's voiced. They dubbed over his lines with David Hyde Pierce.
Not even credited.
Yeah, which is interesting.
wow.
But in the second one, they allowed Doug Jones to just do the voice.
I believe David Hyde Pierce said, "I will not come back. It's embarrassing. Let him do it."
Yeah,
Wow.
and he does great. So yeah, Doug Jones, and now he was on Star Trek Discovery, so he's been in other things too. But he's always playing weird creatures.
Hocus Pocus.
Yeah,
Right.
Plays that
So-
zombie. Billy Bones, Billy Boyd, or whatever his name was. Yeah.
yeah. But
Hellboy.
Hellboy 2, The Golden Army. You've got, of course, Ron Perlman is great. Hellboy. You've got Selma Blair. All your favorite characters. And yeah, so what do you guys think of that pick?
Oh, poor Selma Blair. I think it's not one that would have been on mine, but that is letting your freak flag fly, dude. I think that's a really cool choice.
I had to pick a personal choice that maybe I think it was pretty well received when it came out, but people are not really thinking about Hellboy these days. I mean, we had the David Harbour one a couple years ago. I watched that one really bad, hated that one.
I did not see it.
It's they should have let Del Toro do another one. They should have let Del Toro and Ron Perlman do a third one.
And Jacob,
Right.
have you seen the trailer for the low budget new one,
Yes.
The Crooked Man?
This one is insane because they're rebooting the universe again after that David Harbour one flopped, but they're doing it
Wow.
with like actors I've never heard of, and like I'm not, like you said, very low budget. I'm not sure what they're doing. Like,
Hellboy's as popular as Spider-Man and Batman that they have to reboot him 3 times.
right. Well, I guess the
Hellboy verse.
David Harbour one was such a failure that they were just like, yeah, let's start over. But that one looks terrible too, so I don't know what they're doing with that. And the Hellboy one, it was directed by Neil Marshall, who basically disowned that movie and said, that is not the movie I wanted to make. Like the studio basically took it from me and I didn't have creative control. So basically everyone involved with that movie is kind of disowned the 2019 one I'm talking about.
It came out and people were like, "That's what you chose to look like, David Harbour? Like, disgusting."
Yeah.
Mm.
That one's trying to really hard to be edgy and R-rated. A lot of F-bombs, a lot of gross violence and like weird sexual stuff. Yeah, it's like it's trying to appeal to like 13-year-old boys, but it just comes off as a little bit cringeworthy in my opinion.
Yeah, I did not see that
But
one.
Hellboy 2, The Golden Army is a beautiful film, I think. And so I shout out
I love
to
Ron Perlman.
Yeah, Ron Perlman, he's
I
great.
mean, if we're talking Danny DeVito being perfect casting for Weird Penguin, this is like another perfect piece of casting in superhero
Absolutely.
media. It's Ron Perlman, yeah.
Yeah.
Hellboy.
And Hellboy is such an interesting character because he's like basically supposed to be like the son of Satan. He's going to like oversee the apocalypse, but he wants to be a good guy, but his whole nature is like telling him to be a bad guy and he's got to like resist that. It's like a very interesting
Amon-Ra.
thing. Yeah.
Mhm.
So solid movies. Yeah.
I was between. I might even put the first one on my list if I had gotten a Batman. Like, I like
Yeah. The
Hellboy
first
1 a
one's
lot as
good
well.
too. They just didn't have they didn't let Del Toro go all out with that one. It has a really boring POV character who's like this agent guy who they basically
Yeah.
write out of the next movie who sucks.
Right.
That's right.
But solid movie still.
yeah,
Who is that guy? That guy like never acts again, I think.
No, yeah.
So weird.
Yeah. But yeah, good pick. I guess we're at Colin's 5th and final main pick before we get to the LVPs.
I feel weird about not
That's
having an MCU, so I'll headline here that I'm really thinking about going that way.
Wow.
Again, I feel weird about not having a Spider-Man. I've got some picks on here that I'll just list because I don't think anybody's going to take. Jacob Hellboy 1 was on here.
Interesting.
The Avengers.
So you like
feel I
Hellboy
got
1
my
more
team
than
Suicide. Yeah, it's
Hellboy
just
2?
I like the David Hyde Pierce. I know that seems dumb, but I really do like his performance.
I do too, yeah.
I like the guy who plays Rasputin. That
I
guy's
like
like
Yeah.
that Blade
insane.
guy. The little
yes,
taunt
I like
Yeah.
the
That's
Blade
cool.
guy, Mike.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yet, but you see, there's a Blade guy in the first one. In the second one, there's an elf prince who uses a staff. And I think Del Toro just
Yeah.
loves characters that can flip things around and like do crazy moves and
I think
stuff.
he likes
that.
elves.
He
They
does
have
like
tails
elves, yeah.
though. Hellboy has a tail, but not the elves.
Also, Selma Blair is better in the second one.
Mm.
She's got a
Fair.
different haircut.
Two things I got scooped on again are Across the Spider-Verse and Guardians 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I talked about maybe doing the Avengers 1. I feel weird about Joss, and I rewatched it recently, and it really didn't kind of hold up that much for me for being the biggest groundbreaking thing on
Right.
the planet.
At the
So
time.
here's the thing. One of my maybes, if I didn't, for my fifth pick, was maybe going to be Avengers Endgame, just to get an Avengers on there. Endgame kind of being the sum of that whole thing. I was thinking, Infinity War or Endgame, but
You kind of get the
Yeah.
whole MCU if you choose Endgame.
Mhm.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'm gonna follow that then, Jacob, because I know what one I like more, and I'm going with Infinity War. I think that's going to be my fifth and final
Wow,
pick here. I feel
okay.
good about having an MCU. I want a team up movie if I'm going to do it. It's not my favorite. My favorite MCU is Iron Man 3, but in the same way Jacob said, like, where he's building his team here, I really don't. I don't feel good about RDJ right now, and I would just feel really weird about having like just a solo Iron Man movie be one of my picks.
It's like Iron
Yeah,
Man
well-
1 or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
He did start the MCU. I mean, if Iron Man 1 isn't a hit, then maybe the MCU doesn't even exist.
Right,
Yeah.
but I don't want him back as Doctor Doom.
I hate it.
We'll
really
see.
hate
We'll
it.
see what they do. I don't want to judge
I
it
don't.
yet because
I can judge it. I don't like it.
I don't like the choice.
Yeah.
I wish Jonathan Majors didn't get in so much bullshit trouble because I liked him as an actor and I was excited for Kang just as an idea. And like they had to
Right.
pivot, obviously, and they should have, but the Robert Downey Jr.
Well, here's
movie is
the
not
thing.
working for me
Keep your
either.
hands to yourself, dude.
if we're talking
Yeah.
about the MCU and people say they have gotten a little lost in the sauce, kind of like directionless. And I think that does come down to two things. It's the Jonathan Majors thing where they had to pivot from Kang, like you said. And also, and I don't think this is maybe talked about enough, I think Chadwick Boseman sadly passing away, I think really messed up their plans because I think Black
Yeah.
Panther was they were making him the new lead of the Avengers when
Yeah.
the big three all leave, Chris Evans and all that. I think they were
Okay,
really positioning
instead,
Black
We
Panther.
got Captain Falcon. And you're like,
Yeah.
Man.
no.
So now they're like, well, shit,
True.
because they had Black Panther and then Spider-Man was going to be kind of the youth movement, but I really think Black Panther was going to be the star of this next era of the Avengers. Shout out to my
Hence
shirt.
the shirt.
There is.
You're
Yeah,
right.
and when he passed away, it really messed up their plans very sadly.
Well,
Obviously,
here's the thing. I'm
Right.
happy to pick a movie with him in it. Infinity War. He's got a great part in it. The
Yep.
Babombe, when all of Wakanda is shouting.
Right.
All my other picks have been fun and funny. I want to go dark with this. I want the one serious superhero movie the MCU basically made to diametrically go to the opposite of the cheers I remember sitting in the audience for Endgame, where every moment somebody's going, yeah, and the
Yeah.
audience was
Yeah.
just screaming. The opposite of that, I remember sitting in the silence of Infinity War. I remember gasps, and I remember, no,
One of
no, you can't.
the craziest endings, the riskiest move they could have done. Let's kill off half our cast.
Yeah.
Very ballsy move.
The Empire
like I
of
said,
our era, of our day.
Yeah. And obviously we knew all those characters weren't going to stay dead forever, but
No way.
it was still in the moment, it was a crazy move. And like I said, I was thinking Endgame was a maybe for me. I think the Endgame, the portals moment at the end, by the way, who's the first people out of the portal? Black Panther and his gang. So
Mhm.
I really think they were positioning him. But Infinity War doing the setup, I like all the different how it cuts around to the different teams and stuff. I think it's a really well structured movie, actually, setting up everything they need to set up. Yeah.
The thing that sold that film, Jacob, it's so weird to now be like, well, Marvel movies should have a Wolverine from a different universe that I've never, interacting with this. Infinity War was sold on, what if the Avengers met the Guardians of the Galaxy? That's
Yeah.
Right.
so weird.
But it was seeing
That
all
is
these
weird.
characters we had seen in their solo movies together. Doctor Strange is there, Spider-Man is there, all these different characters. Like finally, we're seeing them interact with
Bucky
these
Barnes,
other
Captain
OG,
America. Yeah.
Captain America, yeah,
See, I don't
Scarlet
want to
Witch,
go Mr. Stark moment. That might be my favorite moment in
Man.
the MCU.
yeah,
And, Star Lord, whatever, but man, have I never been pissed off at anybody more than I was pissed off at him when he didn't follow the
right,
plan because he was mad about Gamora. Like,
right,
damn it, Star Lord. We had him. You son of a bitch, Chris Pratt. Yeah, very
yeah.
good.
And I'll say with Spider-Man and Tony Stark, controversial because not everybody likes their relationship that they have in these MCU movies. I kind of like it where Tony Stark is this mentor to Peter Parker. It's different than, what we got in these earlier Spider-Man movies, obviously, but I think it makes a lot of sense. They're both like tech science guys. Of course, Peter Parker would look up to someone like Tony Stark. Yeah, so really
I'm
good
People
something of
stuff.
a
forget,
scientist
Jacob.
myself.
That's right.
God damn you, will have to fuck it out of here. People forget, Jacob, that the process for becoming Spider-Man, and it was supposed to be that kid from Sex Education. It was supposed to be um, Josh Hart. Who's the kid from Hunger Games? The little kid, whatever that little
Oh,
kid's name
Josh
is.
Hutcherson.
Josh
uh,
Hutchinson. All these people had to do 2 chemistry tests. You had to read with Captain America, Chris Evans, and you had to read with Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr. And they
Interesting. Not
say
even
that
Zendaya.
no, and they say that the reason they cast Tom Holland is they've never seen somebody have that much chemistry with Robert Downey Jr. And Jacob, I agree with you that is
Yeah,
what makes those films work. Is that weirdly
absolutely.
they just work on screen together.
yeah.
And I think Tom Holland plays that high school age better than Andrew Garfield or
Mm-hmm.
what's his name were able to in their
Toby.
times.
How
Toby.
It's
dare you?
maybe the only
Yeah.
role that Tom can play, I would argue.
Right. Yeah. Even now, when he's like 28 years old or whatever, he still looks like a high schooler, but he just has that youthful enthusiasm, that wanting to please Tony Stark, wanting to impress him with his science knowledge
Hey,
and
Mr.
stuff.
Stark, have you heard about this gold that's on a boat?
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
And that's such a big part of Infinity War when he, you know, stows away on that ship as it's leaving orbit and stuff and becomes wrapped up in that all the Thanos stuff. It's like that's such a big thing for that. So yeah, love Infinity War. Yeah.
No, and honestly, one of those should have been on one of our lists, the Infinity War or Endgame, because
Yeah.
as much as I'm kind of been shitting on lately superhero and Marvel stuff, like I'm out. It was a cinematic achievement to get 20 some odd movies and over a decade of content to create something that was ultimately satisfying. Like that cliffhanger and then the conclusion was like a satisfying wrap up that I couldn't have imagined ever being executed before or maybe ever again. So
Right.
shout out to them pulling it off once. We'll see if they can ever
Yeah,
do
I
it
feel
again.
weird that I picked a lot of auteur directors and now I'm picking the Russo brothers, who I think could just
Yes.
be AI robots.
Right. It's
Well, it's
Ultron.
interesting that with the MCU's plans getting figured out and everything, obviously the who was going to direct Kang Dynasty left, and they did bring back the Russo brothers to do these new Avengers movies, Doctor Doom and all that. So they're like,
Doom
we need to
World or whatever
return
the
to
fuck it's
what
called.
worked, when people liked us with Infinity War and Endgame. Let's get the Russo brothers back. So interesting times for the MCU, but
They are my Sean Levy, Jacob. In the way that
really,
you're like, Sean Levy. I'm like the
I'd
Russo
rather they direct an Avengers movie than Sean Levy. So
Well, let me just say, Sean Levy directed the episode of Stranger Things with Running Up That Hill. So
sure.
we all
Well, I
like
did
that
say,
needle
yeah,
drop, and
Stranger
there's good needle
Things,
drops in
his
Deadpool.
one good thing
Right.
that Sean Levy's done, but also that who knows who picked that song? Maybe it was someone else on the writing staff. So
Fair.
yeah,
But he has some he's no James Gunn, but he's had a couple good needle drops between
Can we
Deadpool
point
and
out
this.
how
yeah.
weird it is that Sean
The
Levy did
Madonna song is
2
good.
Ryan
Yeah,
Reynolds movies that aren't Deadpool, and then he did the
Yeah.
one Rock'em Sock'em Robot movie with Hugh
with Hugh
Jackman,
Jackman.
and then he got them back
I'm sure that
together.
Ryan Reynolds when he was pitching Hugh. He's like, "Come back and be Wolverine. You know what? We've both worked with Sean Levy. I
got
love that
Sean.
guy.
You
He's
love Sean.
hilarious. Let's get him." I'm
Right.
sure that's exactly what happened.
Absolutely.
Well, but yeah, great pick.
Yeah.
So we've got our top fives. I'll just
Let's
read them
run
off.
the LVP.
Wow.
Yeah, read off
Yeah.
the top 5 and let's hit the LVPs.
That's right. So Mike has Spider-Man 2, Blade, Scott Pilgrim, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, and The Batman.
Mhm.
Very solid list. Very
That's
solid.
wild.
It's a fun
I like
list.
it.
Yeah.
The Batman, great picks.
That's my one
all
serious
around.
pick too. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I have Logan, The Dark Knight, Across the Spider-Verse, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and Hellboy 2, The Golden Army.
That's an undefeated season almost, it feels like.
I'm
when
not
look
mad
at it.
about if like you tell me those are the movies I have to watch in 1 week. I'm like,
You ain't
I'm having a
complaining.
pretty good week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, all 15 of these movies I would watch right
True.
now. And I will say, I got my exact top 5 that I wanted, except I had Spider-Man 2 instead of Across the Spider-Verse. So, but I'm still
Alright.
very happy with Across the Spider-Verse.
No, it's
So, very happy with my picks.
Great.
Colin has Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Batman
Great.
Returns, The Suicide Squad, Lego Batman, and Avengers Infinity War.
that gets pretty heavy. That's
Yeah.
pretty good.
I think that's a
Alright.
very solid.
Again, I
All
would-
great picks. Yeah.
I would watch all of these. Like I would have no issue throwing these
Yeah,
on.
there's not a bad movie here, you know.
No,
I
but now
lost.
we are going to
No
put some bad movies
Spider-Man.
on.
Yeah, let's
Let's
talk
do the
bad
LVP
movies.
and then we'll go
No
and
Spider-Man
discuss
2
the final.
Batmans. That is very true, but that's the way the
We'll
cookie
see.
crumbles.
Did you guys have? I'm having trouble with the LVP. So it's something that's generally considered bad, but you kind of like. Is that where
I'm
we're
That's
locked
what
in.
my
Yeah.
pick's going to be. Yeah.
I was born for this LVP, dog.
A guilty pleasure or just a movie that you think is good that everyone thinks is bad.
All right. So here's the thing. I had to make
Ben
this joke.
Affleck's the Daredevil.
I rewatched a movie yesterday along with Blade, and it's a movie about a vigilante who ends up getting powers and like horrifically burned, and then like he has to go and get revenge on the people who gave him the powers, right?
Mhm.
And it's 1997. Michael Jai White. It's called Spawn. It's not Deadpool.
Sure. Spawn, yeah.
Again, didn't necessarily hold up, but for some reason this was a
I
movie
think
I would
that's
watch to go to sleep, and it came 1 year
Mike,
before
You
Blade.
just picked the Vindicator.
That's the perfect LVP.
The
pick.
Violator,
Exactly. Thank you. I'm sorry. The Violator.
which
You're
should have been Danny
100%.
DeVito, but it's John Leguizamo.
But that's what
Oh,
makes
boy.
it amazing is that it's a guy doing a weirdo performance. That, like Jacob said, that is maybe the diamond LVP. That's so fascinating.
That's
dog.
kind of exactly what I was envisioning with these picks is something like this where you liked it for some
Mhm.
reason, critics didn't love it, but you like it. That's what's important.
There's something about it. I rewatched it yesterday, and I remember this would be a video. I don't know why Blade and Spawn were videos that I would watch to go to sleep when I was a child, like 10 years old. Don't know why, but they would always be in the. Explain something. But I remember always watching Spawn. Yeah, it's like this is weird.
That's
Martin
like
Sheen.
peak like edgy late 90s, early 2000s superheroes where they're like, we're appealing to, 13-year-old boys, Todd McFarlane, Spawn, like he's edgy, he's comes from hell
We're gonna
and
put
shit.
like good CGI in this, right? Yeah, I just downloaded this screensaver. It's incredible.
The CG
I mean,
does not
1997,
hold-
they were doing the best they could at the time. I mean, this was the era of like the Mummy, the Mummy movie and all that stuff. So
Yeah, but just
Um,
like thinking about something that came out a year before Blade is much worse than
Scorpion
Blade,
King.
but it
Yeah.
has like the suit looks really good when he has the practical suit. Like that looks pretty great.
It looks
Yeah.
incredible. Michael
Yeah.
J. White's an inspired, incredible choice. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a lot of scene chewing from Martin Sheen, which is crazy because I think of watching Platoon and or not Platoon, Apocalypse Now and being like, this guy can act like crazy. But anyway,
Yeah.
that's my LVP.
He was the
Mike-
president in the West Wing.
Like, is the
Right,
plot of that
right.
movie that he starts fucking Spawn's wife?
No, his partner marries his wife after he dies.
That's what it is. Okay.
Yeah. And then the clown is trying to just egg him on to kill Martin Sheen because if he kills Martin
Freaking
Sheen,
clown.
he can lead the armies of hell. He has to kill voluntarily. That's how you get him to lead the hell army. But
Now,
he doesn't
Mike, do
do
you
it.
know anything about that Todd McFarlane, the lunatic that he is, has been desperately trying to make another Spawn movie?
Well, here's the thing. Why not? I mean, I don't think because the technology wasn't there. He has that cool cape. Like there is some cool stuff action-wise in
Yeah.
that movie. It just was too early. They had the animated show at the same time. Like I think Spawn's a great
Right.
character.
I think you could do it. And
Yeah.
again, Spawn in the 90s reminded me a lot of another character, Venom. Like just the
Mhm.
fan base, like people who liked Venom also probably liked Spawn.
So here's the thing.
Yeah.
Todd McFarlane was the artist at Marvel. He revolutionized Spider-Man. He invented basically that little curly thing that goes around the web that like Spider-Man would pull, like the art style that he did. Everybody tried to rip off. Jacob, he was drawing Venom books. That was like the primary villain that he was introducing for
Mhm.
Spider-Man. And
Yeah.
literally, Todd McFarlane goes, why am I doing this? Why am I working as a commissioned artist when I can make my own thing? And I think it's really cool that he chose to make a black protagonist when he went to do his own thing. Like Spawn is a really cool character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like his suit is very symbiote like because it can form into weapons and blades. Like it's very similar to what
Mhm.
Venom was. But yeah, I just think everyone forgets about Spawn because it was a year before Blade, but then Blade was like so actually legit good that it like overshadowed
Right.
Spawn in some ways. So shout out to an LVP, you know.
But I remember, yeah, and sometimes Spawn would just like come on TV or something. And I would just have it on TV,
There was the
like on
MTV
TNT or something.
animated series. Do you guys remember that too?
I thought that was on HBO, but yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, it was HBO, Mike.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
totally right.
And that was at the same
Yeah.
time, and I'm like, huh, Spawn is kind of a thing, and I guess it was just that era.
Well, that's
Yep.
a great LVP pick. I think that's exactly what I was envisioning, that kind of movie.
I had an
Should I give
alternate,
mine now?
but I'll
Yeah,
save
let's-
it till you give yours. I don't want to scoop
Okay.
I
anything.
wouldn't have been mad if that was on your core five, Mike. Honestly.
Interesting. If I didn't watch it alongside Blade, it's like, okay, this is a LVP, but
It's
it's
like,
a fun one.
this sucks. Yeah.
Yeah. Martin Sheen.
For my pick, I'm sticking to early 2000s kind of era. So imagine, superhero movies were kind of in a dark place at this time, pre MCU. I mean, we had the X-Men movies, we had the Spider-Man, Sam Raimi movies. This movie, now I remember this, I don't, it was a critically not well received, but it's maybe been reclaimed in recent times by people who watched it growing up and stuff, and maybe saying
Howard the Duck. Yeah.
not Howard the Duck, but I'm talking a little Daredevil, Ben Affleck Daredevil.
Wow. Okay.
A movie that I don't think is that bad. I mean, you got Colin Farrell as Bullseye, one of my favorite villains. He throws stuff. He throws a paper clip and it
He's
hits
like Lamer
whatever.
Gambit. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, his superpower is being able to aim really well.
Yeah.
You're doing this because you've very recently fallen in love with Jennifer Garner as Elektra. Admit.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, if you're bringing back Elektra, so I guess that era is being reclaimed, and
Mhm.
this is the first Daredevil movie. This is before the only Daredevil movie, and before the Daredevil show, the Netflix show that was well received.
Yeah.
And I just remember this not being very well received and not being a great movie, but I think they did do Daredevil justice to a certain degree. The character, I think Ben Affleck was a good choice, even though this was the peak of like Ben Affleck and J-Lo being in the tabloids all the time and stuff, which really, Ben Affleck did not like. Like he's more of he doesn't like to be bothered by paparazzi and stuff. He doesn't like to live that celebrity lifestyle. He just wants to be alone.
Maybe the reason he ran to his new wife Elektra and married Jennifer Garner.
Famous Jennifers. Yeah.
That's right. And then later divorced her and then married J-Lo and then is now maybe being divorced again.
And Jennifer Garner's back in the spotlight. Hey, girl.
Jacob, let's keep going with the cast. Michael Clark Duncan is Kingpin.
R.I.P. Yes. Just a great, and Jon Favreau, an early Jon Favreau role as his best friend.
Happy Hogan.
Strangely enough, basically Happy Hogan to Daredevil.
Foggy Nelson.
Foggy Nelson.
From Foggy Nelson to Happy Hogan. I'm sorry.
Right.
That's funny. I forgot about that.
Yeah, and I just think wasn't so bad looking back at it. Like, yeah, it wasn't a great movie, but Ben Affleck as Daredevil, I didn't hate it.
Now, Jacob, have you seen the director's cut, which people say really cleans this film up?
No, I should check that out.
It includes deleted scenes. Most notably, the coolest thing I remember about that film is the water coffin he sleeps in it every night. Do you remember that he has to go in the sensory deprivation tank
Right.
so that he can actually rest? There's a deleted scene where, as he's doing that, he hears trigger words, a rape going on in the distance, and he has to make the decision, no, I'm too beat up and I do need to go to sleep tonight.
Jeez,
Right.
That's wild.
And Daredevil's a great character, lives in Hell's Kitchen.
Catholic guilt.
Catholic guilt. He's blind. He's got to make up for being blind by using his other senses. And of course, everyone knows him from the Netflix version now. The hallway scene and everything, people love that. But I think Ben Affleck did a good job playing
turtles that were in the same accident as him.
He doesn't know they're turtles because he can't see, though. They just said, don't tell him.
Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think did this movie had like the Evanescence songs in it too, or was that Elektra?
I think Elektra had the Evanescence, but it was
I think they both
guys,
might have. Yeah,
it was this film.
Okay,
Let me tell you, I
this
believe
was
the
peak,
music video includes clips of Daredevil.
Yes,
it's on the DVD, the music video. Yeah,
Evanescence. All this like 2000s sort of what do you call it? New metal kind of adjacent. Yeah. A great era of music that we all love. Limp Bizkit. I don't think there's any Limp Bizkit songs in Daredevil, but yeah.
No, should have been.
We love it.
Yeah,
should have been. Yeah.
That's again a perfect right in the pocket of what an LVP pick should be, though. Something that
Yeah.
gets clowned, but
a movie that's generally considered bad, but I enjoy watching.
But is riding a wave of redemption right now with the Deadpool stuff.
I think it's being reclaimed to a certain degree.
Yeah. So go check it out. I'll check out the director's cut. I like that. It's a good pick. Colin, LVP picks.
I'm going with a movie I hope you guys have seen. I'm not positive. It's definitely on that list Jacob was saying of nobody remembers this. I'm of course talking the 1996 camp classic, The Phantom, starring Billy Zane.
Yes.
Oh The Phantom.
God. Bro, that's such a good pull. Wow. I have not seen that in years.
What? There's a joke about that in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, right? Or one of those Kevin Smith movies.
No. That's a movie called Phantoms.
Starring
Ben Affleck. Phantoms was the bomb.
The Phantom.
That's Billy what I'm thinking of.
Besides Zoolander, it's the only thing I know him from.
Exactly. He's the ghost who walks.
Titanic.
That is the Phantom's nickname.
Oh yeah.
Of course, the villain in Titanic.
That's what
Billy Zane. Most importantly to me, the villain, Treat Williams, who very recently died in a motorcycle crash of all things, absolutely absurd, but is such a highlight of that film. It was written by Joe Dante, the man who wrote Gremlins, as a comedy, and then they fired him, and they kept using the script, and they shot it serious, and that's why it's the campiest movie ever made.
That is wild.
Sure.
I mean, appropriately, it should
Phantom,
be campy.
yeah.
It's like based on 1930s like comic strips or something, right? Like it's really old.
Exactly, Mike. It's literally a newspaper comic. It is camp about a guy who fights pirates. It's like, come on.
And it was like one of the
I
first,
feel like
bodysuits. Like it set the trope almost for superheroes to wear like bodysuit vibe.
Right. Hollywood has really tried to adapt a lot of these older comics, like Dick Tracy, The Shadow. I want to say like Sky Captain in the World Tomorrow. I don't know if that's based on a comic or something.
Yeah.
Right.
If your pick was Sky Captain.
Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow.
God bless you.
Sky High's close, but not the same.
Sky High should have been on here. If Joe was here, he'd pick LVP Sky High.
Kurt Russell.
That's very funny.
Yep.
The Shadow. I might have been thinking The Phantom was The Shadow.
Yeah,
they're basically the same movie.
Yeah, the Phantom is purple suit.
Interesting. Yeah, that's right. Okay, I've never seen The Phantom, but I've heard of it.
I recommend it. It's horrible. I had a themed birthday in 1996 because it was one of the only films that came out in June. I got little plates from Party City that were the Phantom plates, and we ate cake on them, and I went and saw The Phantom with my family, and I had a great time.
we keep
And this
walking
is the
backwards
era.
earlier than Blade.
Yeah.
And it's like 96. We had the Phantom. Like we're starting to take baby steps towards the
Right. Well,
inevitable.
I
We're
was thinking
trying. We're
this is
figuring
like
it
the
out.
era of Batman Forever. So you got like
Yeah.
Goofy, Jim
Well,
Carrey, and
But can I
yeah.
say, Jacob, because of Tim Burton's Batman, the first one, the 1989 film, the reason you have the Shadow, the Phantom, the hubris, Dick Tracy, the hubris these film studios had of, well, we can make any of these work if they made Batman work, which is like, no,
Right.
Batman's like the number one.
Yeah.
They nailed it. You cannot recreate that.
Dick Tracy's my favorite because there's just Warren Beatty trying to be like, yeah, I'm gonna make this. Everyone's gonna want to go see Dick Tracy,
That's the
and then he's
worst
just
thing
held the
ever.
rights for Dick Tracy for like 30 years, and he
Lunatic.
has to make like an amateur Dick Tracy movie
He
every
makes
so many
Zoom
years.
movies every
Yeah, to
5
keep the
years.
rights of it.
There's
It's
an
hilarious.
interview as Dick Tracy where he'll say things like, "Yeah, I've got Riz." Like, what?
Yeah. That's where I drew the
Um,
line of what's a superhero movie. Like Dick Tracy, while a comic, not a superhero in my mind.
Right. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
just like a detective.
Yeah, wouldn't have made the cut. I think that's 3 very solid LVP picks, justice for all of these movies.
Spawn, Daredevil, and the Phantom. 3 classics, you could say.
Classics.
At
Well,
least
let's
Daredevil has
classic.
name recognition and Spawn.
Spawn a little bit. Now the
Yeah.
Phantom I like because of the obscurity. I think that's a thinking man's LVP. You know.
I should have picked the Shadow.
That too.
Now, my alternate was I was thinking, what if I picked one of these Tom Hardy Venom movies because I do love Tom
that's
Hardy
fun.
so
I do
much,
love
as we
those
know.
movies.
Yeah, but I couldn't decide if I should pick the first one or the second one. You know, I'm
Or the one
excited about
directed by
the new
Caesar.
one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
the
the second one. But like I said, I've seen the trailer for this third one coming out. I think it
Just
could be
pick
the best
the third one before it even comes out. Just go ahead and say that's it.
It's gonna be
man.
great, movie of the year. But
Right.
yeah, I mean, there's a ton of bad superhero movies that you could watch as guilty pleasures. Catwoman starring Halle Berry, like so many you
Obviously.
could choose. You know.
Yeah. Well, I think we got some good rosters. How about we do this? We'll head to quote unquote final thoughts. We'll run through the rosters. We can talk any honorable mentions and things like that. We'll kind of weigh these rosters, see
Absolutely.
who won, lost, whatever. But it was fun either way. So we'll catch you on the other side.
We're back here on Normies Like Us. We're wrapping up our final thoughts here on our superhero draft. Again, what a cool, awesome concept, Jacob. We're gonna list them off real quick. I'm just gonna say, I think in order to win this thing, you had to have the 2 best characters, Spider-Man and Batman. I'm saying I come in last. And the name of the podcast is Normies Like Us. I feel like Jacob comes in first automatically for these normie picks.
My
If
picks
we're-
are very normie.
Yeah.
But I like your guys. I like, you guys you're picking movies that you like, and that's what's most important. I mean, I like all my movies, but also it's like I see my movies as being a little cliche. But
so yeah. My philosophy was when I'm putting together this roster, like it's the top 5 for you personally, generally. Like that's kind of how I looked at it.
Yeah.
So it's like, what are the 5 that I can watch whenever? Like basically comfort watches. And all
Absolutely.
of my top 5, except for maybe The Batman, because I felt obligated to have a Batman movie. I like that a lot. But I've watched everything else on this list on repeat, including Spawn. And The Batman is just a good film in my opinion. So I was just like, if you told me Sunday you got to watch all 5 of these in a row, I would be pretty pleased with this lineup.
yeah,
So that's kind of where I landed.
I think all of our lists are solid. I did have going into it, I was like, I need a Batman, I need a Spider-Man, Guardian. I was like, I need Logan. If I don't get Logan, I'm probably not gonna have a Wolverine. And I need an MCU, and I was looking at Guardians 2, and I was like, that's the obvious choice for me.
It's like, I'm here lamenting Spider-Man, and there were so many X-Men movies still on the table outside of Logan, Jacob. That's
true.
wild.
And
What
I
are you
have
gonna
fun
pick?
with
The
some X-Men
Wolverine,
movies. Yeah.
Days of Future Past.
X2, people love X2.
X2.
It's the Spider-Man 2 of X-Men movies, I'd say, Mike.
I was thinking of that because I do enjoy X2, but then I think of Bryan Singer, and then I
Directed
don't
by
want to
a
have it on my
pedophile.
list. And he focused those movies on the teenage characters more. It's like Bryan.
Yeah.
The more I think about it, the more I don't like it. Even though I enjoy it
know
in a
what you're
vacuum.
doing.
I know what you're doing, Bryan, and I don't.
Again, I said
like
it on an earlier pod, but those first 3 X-Men, because Brett Ratner also has some like Me Too allegations going on. So not a
Fucking
great
Solid
track record
Snake
for those.
just ran
Days of
those
Future
movies
Past is
be
all you
like-
can do, and Logan. It's just those 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they even brought Bryan Singer back, and I mean, he made some of the best ones like Days of Future Past. But
Oh, he did that too. Oh my God, I didn't
yeah.
even realize.
He did that and Dark Phoenix, but then they took him off Dark Phoenix because that's when everything started coming out, I believe.
Right.
So they fired him from Dark Phoenix.
And no New Mutants.
Crazy
but yeah, I had
times.
no X-Men at all. Like,
That's so wild.
And
Logan was the only one I even considered in my top 5. So
fair. Is there anything
And
else that was in
X2.
consideration that you didn't draft besides just X-Men?
I mean, Avengers Endgame, I was like, if, maybe for my last pick, I'll go because if no one else picked an Avengers, I was going to say Endgame would be my pick. I considered like Black Panther or something like that, but really not too many from the MCU. Yeah.
I had Mask of Phantasm in the second because I thought everybody would take my other Batman choices, but
like I said, there's so many good Batman movies. I could have 5 different ones that could have made my list.
Yeah, I had a couple weird, like LVP. I don't know if this technically would land there, but like Constantine. I'm like, that's kind of fun.
That's
Constantine
really
counts.
good choice, Mike.
And
that
then
would have been really good.
Yeah, it's like, but I just because the recency bias on Spawn, I'm like, it's got to be Spawn. But then I also had stuff like The Incredibles 2 or Kick-Ass, and then even like Conan the Barbarian is a comic, but does that count? And like Split and Unbreakable, I had considered too. As potential picks from Shyamalan's little universe, but that's kind of.
I would count those, yeah.
It was all off meta though. None of it was MCU movies. I guess is the point. I wasn't because I'm just not that MCU pill, despite my hat.
Right.
Conan
You love
crossed over
Ant-Man
because Marvel has the Conan rights, Mike. He crossed over with somebody weird recently, either Deadpool or Miles Morales. I can't remember who he ends up in a comic with, but it was a very strange choice.
Miles Morales and Conan would be a weird team up.
Wow.
They should. Yeah. I mean, eventually they'll make a new Conan movie and they'll recast Conan with some young hunk.
Jason Momoa will come back.
Jason Momoa. Gosh, yeah. Didn't they already try to do that?
No, they need a younger hunk. They need like a no-name guy who breaks out as Conan, probably. I think.
Preferably with English.
A no-name bodybuilder. Yeah, an Austrian, preferably.
Yeah.
Patrick Schwarzenegger, his son, who's not nearly as muscular.
That sick-looking dog.
Who's that guy? Who's really buff and he's in the Fast and the Furious and he's Reacher?
Oh, the big
Alan
guy.
Richardson.
Yeah,
Alan Richardson be a
now, here's an interesting question for you because you just said Patrick Schwarzenegger, Jacob, which makes me think of The Boys, where he was Golden
Gen
or
V.
whatever that was called. Thank you, Gen V.
Yeah.
Would we ever return to this format because there's so many and draft superhero TV shows?
Ooh.
Interesting. I thought about this because I was thinking, and I was going to ask you guys if you had any ideas. I do like the draft format. What could a future draft be? We've done Oscar movies. We've done superhero movies. Superhero TV shows could be one. It could be some other genre. It could be like, comedies, horror movies.
Sci-fi.
Horror would be interesting because I don't think any of us are like, well, let's talk our favorite Westerns or something like that.
Right.
Their top 5. I don't know. Yeah, horror.
I mean, we could go through different genres, comedy. We could do like best animated movies at some
video
point.
game movies, anime.
Video game movies.
Video game would be interesting because that's such a limited pool.
Right, and I had Double Dragon on the list, but I'm like, wait, that's a video game. But in the movie, they do get like magic powers from the medallions.
They have superpowers,
but it has to be a video game movie by nature. But it is
right.
It would have been in my
Teenage
top
Mutant
5.
Ninja Turtles. Would that be considered a video game movie? Because there are video games featuring the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
The comic was first. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And the game was first for Double Dragon.
Video game would be interesting because there's like maybe
Uncharted, number
2 or
maybe.
3 good
movies
based on video games that exist. So it's
Resident Evil 2 Apocalypse, Resident Evil 3, whatever that one's called.
Mortal Kombat, Annihilation. Yeah.
Yep.
It's a rough list, but that could be a fun. That could be a fun.
First Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
That would be a hot ticket item. Not the new Mortal Kombat from HBO, but
with Cole Combat, my favorite character.
Yeah.
That would be
some future ideas. I do like the draft. We can always bring that back if we need a topic for an episode. I do love doing these drafts. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, well,
let's
run it down.
What were the name of the superpowers in the new Mortal Kombat? Does anybody remember?
God.
Oh,
they
had a
my
name?
chi is my power.
Was it the key? The key?
What was it?
They do have Hiroyuki Sanada though, so they got that going for them.
Right.
And Tobiasha, whoever played whatever that guy's name is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Cole, Mortal Kombat. What does he do? Cole Young. Oh, I hate
that's
it.
right. Yeah, he played
Cole Young, MMA fighter
Raiden, I
Cole
think.
Young.
Yeah. Tell me about his key. Come on. It's too much to read here. We'll have to
I don't even remember
double
that
down when we go
movie.
back.
Yeah.
Can't
but
wait
yeah,
for the sequel.
We'll see. We'll see. Those are $500 sunglasses, asshole. I love that Mortal Kombat 1 is just Enter the Dragon. Like, we're just doing that plot.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I'll read
Yeah.
our list again for all the normies out
Yeah,
there.
and I just want to say my team name is the Mike Angelis Vindicators.
Wow.
My team name is the Suicide Squad.
I like that. I like
what
that.
my
Yeah.
gang is.
I guess my team name is the Normies because I've made the Normie picks.
The Vindicators, the Normies, and the Suicide Squad. I like it.
Like the Dark Knight, I could have gone multiple different ways with Batman. There's many Batman movies I like, but I did pick the most normie of them all, the Dark Knight. But that's okay.
Yeah.
A guy won an Academy Award for a superhero movie, Jacob. That
Yeah.
is incredibly
I also
rare in
think
my
I picked like the most like film bro picks. Like Logan and the Dark Knight are two that like the stereotypical film bro that you might know from college or something would be like, yeah, man, I love Christopher Nolan. I love the movie Logan.
Have you seen Boondock Saints?
Yeah.
yeah.
One.
Fight Club.
God.
I love Fight Club.
Yeah. Fight Club.
Oh, I forgot about the Boondock Saints meta. Oh.
Boondock Saints. But yeah, let me read the list again
You
for
know
all
what?
the
Hold
normies
on.
out there.
Next time let's do film bro draft.
The film bro
Best film
draft.
bro movies.
Scarface.
Quentin Tarantino. Yeah.
What's the one with the guy
Reservoir
who
Dogs
ends up
for sure.
being fake? You know, the number Beautiful Mind.
Beautiful Mind.
Beautiful
yeah.
Mind.
That's a film bro movie.
Yeah, Beautiful Mind.
Yeah,
Reservoir Dogs.
any Christopher Nolan movie, you know, a lot of David Fincher movies, really. Fight Club.
Well, and Mike just hit the secret Quentin Tarantino movies.
Quentin
Yeah, a lot of
Tarantino.
Quentin
Yeah,
Tarantino.
Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction for sure. Yeah. That could be a fun.
Bro
That could be a fun
draft
one.
is funny.
How about film
Animal
maker
House.
draft? You draft just directors. That would be
Ooh.
interesting.
Interesting.
I'd have to get my. Oh, if you
Or
scoop
we
my
pick a
faves.
director and you draft their filmography. We have like one director
Right.
if they have a long enough list of movies.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, somebody like Scorsese or
Scorsese,
Spielberg. We could do Spielberg, which would be really weird.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of options. I think this is a very repeatable format as long as people like it and as long as we like doing it. I think we do.
Yeah, I do too. It's a lot of fun. And yeah, let's just recap the list here. I'm totally pleased with everything on my list. Even though I didn't get Turtles 1, I'm having a pizza party all day with all these picks.
Yeah.
Like, I'm chilling.
Yeah, Mike's team, the Michelangelo, what are they called? The
Mike Angelis-
Vindicators.
The Vindicators, yeah.
The Vindicators. Spider-Man 2, Blade, Scott Pilgrim, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Batman, and then his LVP, Spawn. That's a really solid list.
Thank you. I'm proud of it.
For me, the normies / the film bros, we got Logan, The Dark Knight, Across the Spider-Verse, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Hellboy 2, The Golden Army, and LVP, Daredevil, starring Ben Affleck.
Wake him up.
We love it. And then Colin, the Suicide Squad, and he picked Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Batman Returns, The Suicide Squad, Lego Batman, Avengers Infinity War, and his LVP, The Phantom.
For some reason, I think the funniest back-to-back watch is after a night, Jacob, if you went, the Golden Army, that was great. Time to put on Daredevil.
Very 2000s kind of thing.
Like, what?
It's like me in high school.
Right.
That's a question. Which list, if you could choose one list to watch all of them in sort of a movie marathon, which one would you pick? I guess you would pick your own.
No, I would choose yours. Yeah.
Mine might have the most good
mine.
movies to, critically acclaimed movies, but I think all of them would be fun. Like there's none of these I'm complaining about.
Like in draft order, I think they're all fine. Like obviously I drafted my team to my tastes. Like these are movies that I could watch at any time, any year, and I wouldn't be upset, right? So like but I would not be upset watching any of the selections you made. And I have to shout out Colin. I think the bravest and boldest #1 pick was Ninja Turtles 1, and I'm so proud of you for doing
That's
it.
incredible. And like
It
you
was
said,
on
you
my
got
list, and I didn't think
your
anybody
top
would
2.
care. Yeah.
Yeah, I got my
So
one
just
and two.
watching
So,
Ninja Turtles with Batman Returns back to back. I mean,
And then
you already
Suicide,
made
we're
your
gonna
list
order
there.
pizza and then throw Suicide Squad in,
Yeah.
and then watch Lego.
And then
Like,
throw on
that's
Lego
fun.
Batman. So many laughs per minute in that movie. And then wrap it up with Infinity War and then watch The Phantom. Come on.
Lego
walk it
Batman's the
down.
one choice I'm like regretting right now.
Are you?
No,
I
it's
like
fun.
Lego Batman. I watched
That's
it
like my
recently
Scott Pilgrim
too. So.
pick. That's like just for
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Jacob again, he's all very critically acclaimed. I mean, I watch any of these.
I mean, if you're watching Logan and The Dark Knight back to back, you're having a grand old time watching two, early, late 2000s, early 2010s kind of vibes. You're having a great time.
And then he kind of
Then
lightened
you-
it up with Spider-Verse a little bit.
Yeah. And then Guardians. And then you're throwing it back to Hellboy, and then you're throwing it back to Daredevil, of course. So
Yeah. Simpler
can't
times.
complain about that.
No, it's good.
But I guess we should leave it up to the normies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Write
let
in,
us
tell
know.
us which list you like the best,
What's
which list you
closer to
rocking
your
with.
taste? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what are your top 5?
Are you a normie film bro like me? Or are you more off the
comfort
beaten path?
watcher? Like
Yeah.
me. Yeah. Well, this is very fun. I do like these drafts, and I had a lot of again, fun, like researching, like, oh, what am I going to put in? Yeah.
Absolutely.
No one picked Joker. I guess we're not. Oh, Thomas Jane's Punisher was on my short list for
Joker.
LVP.
Oh,
Thomas Jane's Punisher was also on my LVP.
It would have been my
list. That's
second Kevin
so
Nash
funny.
Punisher
a
Warzone
presence
for me.
too. Ah. Well,
The Ray Stevenson Punisher.
even
RIP.
Dolph Lundgren. I mean, that's the first time I saw somebody burn a wound shut with a hot knife, in my life.
Yeah.
So, go figure. Well, a lot of superhero movies.
Well, that was our
you know?
superhero movie draft. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, normies, tell us your favorite or tell us your personal list and see how that compares to our lists. And tell us your
Mhm.
LVP. Tell us what bad movie do you like? Are you
Yep.
watching? What's your guilty pleasure or not
and
so
te-
guilty pleasure?
Yeah, and tell me how to stop a webcam from overheating. If you know, that'd be great.
Do you think Alec Baldwin wishes he had his shadow powers on the set of Rust?
Oh,
man.
no.
It
Probably.
wasn't me. It was the shadow.
And Shadow being the props master, but that's a whole wild thing. But I definitely don't think he was liable in no way, right? As an actor, like the prop should be cleared. So
he got declared
No,
innocent. so
yeah,
Exactly.
only in that he was
Yeah.
he was a producer on the movie and hired non-union crew. So you could argue that if there was union
Ah.
crew, that might not have happened because of more stricter safety standards.
True.
But
very strange.
yeah,
what happened,
as an actor, I don't think he was liable to not know that the gun was loaded.
Well, on
Right.
that note,
Yeah.
Hey,
You
current
let
events.
us- Current
always love
events.
talking about Rust right at the end of our superhero draft. Like you said, it's our
Uh-huh.
first. And don't just write in for ideas of, what list you liked more, what your own personal draft would be. What draft would you like to see us do? What other weird formats? I think we'll probably end up playing with a couple other. So we
Mhm.
might do some more of these just segment long episodes and let us know if you like that, listeners.
Yeah. And what do we have
Absolutely.
coming up?
Well, next week we have a new movie coming out, a little
Ooh.
movie called Alien Romulus.
That's right. We're gonna be.
I think it's
hugging
about
face.
Romulans. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the new Star Trek, right?
Those are the
Eric Bana?
alien Romuluses. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tom Hardy's going to be there
Ed-
playing a clone of Picard.
Hellboy.
Yep. Oh,
Hellboy
man.
will be there.
Hellboy plays
Yeah.
a vampire.
We need
Assault.
Ron Perlman
That's
in this
right,
alien
yeah.
Movie.
The Remans and the Romulans, right?
Oh, I forgot about the vampires. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
Oh,
great
man.
movie. Check that one out. But yeah, we've been your normies.
Yep.
We've been your normies. That's what we're doing next week. Hit us up at normies_like_us on all social media. Rate, review, subscribe. Send us those ideas like we said. We love it. We love you guys. And let us know.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Yep. Keep ice skating uphill. We
We
love it.
We've been your hosts. This is the Colin Peacemaker.
This is Mike and the Vindicators.
This is Jacob and the normies. This has been a canon event. Thank you, normies.
Thank you.
Oh no, I'm gonna die.
Oh no. All right. Draft out.
Bye.
Bye.